Well, hello everybody. I hope
What
everybody's
up?
had a good weekend and welcome. Yeah, this is episode 58 of Popcorn Talk.
That's crazy.
It is crazy. How you doing, Beard?
Doing pretty good. Had a fairly lazy day. Totally didn't lose track of time and forget what day it was, and almost not finish watching this movie in time for the stream. But you don't need to talk about that.
That's all right. Yeah, I finished it maybe what 30 minutes ago. So yeah.
I mean, it's always fun being here. And I don't forget. I'm pretty good with keeping my schedule. I've kind of felt kind of bad. I'm like, I have to get this done because I cannot show up and be like, oh, sorry guys, I did not watch this. But it was good. Looking forward to getting into it.
Yeah. Mando, how are you doing?
What up? I am doing well. Unlike the rest of you incels, I finished this movie at 2:00 this afternoon. Because I keep track of my calendar.
I'm a Mandalorian. I'm all like on schedule and disciplined and
But my dinner was late, so what you gonna do?
Finger gestures, man. First it was
I don't know what you're
scissors.
talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. I was just wiping them.
Well, hello there, Shieldwall. How are you doing?
Hey, how's it going, everybody? I watched this movie for the very first time on Monday. So,
See, he just outdid us all.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have to put it on 1.5 times speed or anything.
But hey, sometimes it's funny to watch things in 1.5 speed. Just saying.
I mean, it's bad enough that Shield shows up flexing on us with his like audio quality and his voice, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, I watched it the other day."
I know. I did it on time. I can't believe how hard that was.
That's crazy, man.
But it was an interesting movie. For me anyway, I could definitely tell that it was in the more earlier stages of Alfred Hitchcock's career. I think he had more stuff going on before this, and he was in movie production prior to this, but I want to say this is the earliest film of his that I've seen, because it was 1935.
Definitely is for me, but that's probably not surprising to people who know that I'm a guy that doesn't watch movies. So
you can definitely tell that he advanced his craft between this movie and something from like the 50s.
Mhm.
That
Yeah.
That's just to be expected. More experience,
Or a silent
technology, right? That kind of stuff. One of the things that interested me kind of about this film is being 1935. This is pre-World War II. So at this time, a lot of things in the world, big, pivotal moments hadn't really happened yet in the world. So, and, got to remember that back then, though we didn't have instant communication like we do now. They did have more communication than maybe you would think. Like they could make phone calls across the Atlantic and radio and all that kind of stuff, but it wasn't, obviously information didn't flow like it did today. But as we'll see in the movie, even back then, a simple newspaper article could travel within the distance of at least the country of England and Scotland within one day. It was that fast.
Which I thought that was like crazy, because like it in my brain, like watching it, I was like, oh, it's probably gonna at least take a couple of days. He's got time. And then I'm like, it's not that old. Like in comparison to like
it's not. And also they could transmit photographs via telex or whatever over the phone line. So you could get like an actual updated photo of somebody sent. It was expensive, but you could send it across the world, basically.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. But
Yeah.
yeah. Glad to be here.
Hey,
Thanks
hey
for
there, Melvin.
Howdy,
Yeah,
Melvin.
man. Good to have you. Always good to have you. Melvin,
Yee,
good to see you,
yee.
sir. Good to see you.
Yeah, in
Always
chat,
good to see you in the chat.
let me know if my mic sounds weird or bad or what all, because I'm still trying to make the mic sound better, because I get like, there is not a stream that goes by that I don't get some sort of message saying, Mendo, your mic peaked. Mendo, you sound weird. Mendo, why can't you get your mic right? I'm like, I don't know. I'm not a sound person.
Mando, you're female and speaking. Shush.
Yeah. Also, they might need to clarify sounding weird as opposed to not sounding good. Because, yeah.
I do sound weird on a normal day. Okay. Sound bad.
Cord.
Yeah. How's it going, Cord?
What up, Gord? And bonus AJ. What up, man?
AJ.
Oh,
Howdy.
yeah.
Good to see you,
That's
dude.
right. I even answered, said hi to him, and I totally started rambling about international phone calls in 1935.
Yeah.
Yeah. You go on that tangent long enough, Shield, people are going to start thinking you're as old as Roman.
No, not.
I mean, he's the only 2,000-year-old person I know.
Yeah. Well,
So you're not friends with a bunch of vampires? Like, what's wrong with you?
vampires. But
I
I don't know.
garlic, so they don't like me.
I just always like when we watch movies like this. Just imagine myself sitting in a theater, like what it would be like, back when they had intermissions and all this kind of stuff. And then what you'll see in this movie in the very beginning is it starts in a music hall. There's like girls with the little box with the strap around their neck, and they bring by cigarettes and candy and stuff. But this place has like a legit bar in it too. That's like just off to the side. Guys are sitting there getting a pint, drinking. There's no way that would end well these days. Well, actually,
No, not
in
these
the movie, it kind of doesn't end well.
I mean, there's a theater near me where there's a bar outside, and then when you go inside, you can still order drinks. I mean, they don't have, girls walking around with like cigarette trays or anything like that, but I mean,
but that's more you're sitting in a seat and you've got the alcohol, they bring it to you. But this was like a legit, like basically a bar, like a pub on the inside. Guys,
bar theater.
Yeah, bar theater. Yeah, it was kind of weird, but or maybe we're the weird ones for not having it anymore.
Prohibition, man. Prohibition.
Well, but
I mean, if you don't have like like a couple 50 ml bottles stuck in your bra whenever you go into a movie, are you really living?
No.
Yeah. But I thought it was nice that they brought back theaters that served food and had alcohol in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the caveat is that most of those theaters have specific showings for children so that they're not around that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then again, I remember being a kid and my parents used to go to restaurants all the time and drink. I mean, you couldn't take a kid into like a straight up bar, but like a Applebee's or something kind of thing. Although when I was a kid, Applebee's didn't exist.
I mean, I don't want to be that guy that's like back in my day, but I mean, there are probably people who are going to watch this stream / replay and not ever have experienced going to a Denny's and having to choose smoking or non-smoking.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember when they didn't give you a choice.
Yeah,
everything was, the whole section was smoking.
Yeah.
Where with your food you get that whiff of tobacco, adds flavor to your meal,
Yeah, it makes it taste different.
You were used to it back then.
Yeah.
It just was like, I guess it'd be like going into a place that the only heating they had was a fireplace.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't know any better. I'm talking like way back, but
I mean, there's a certain amount of nostalgia for things that were terrible that, we're better. We honestly are better off without, but you kind of still go, oh, I miss it. It's like, I miss having pancakes with cigarette smoke wafting over me when I was
Yeah,
6 years
Well,
old.
like, it's one of those things where is like before, like when I was younger, like most people in my family smoked and were heavy smokers and stuff. And then when I got older, and my grandmother unfortunately was diagnosed with COPD, she stopped smoking, and then I would go around smokers and I would get a headache because of how intense the tobacco was and stuff.
Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah, go over to someone's
Yeah.
house and it's just the
And
walls are dingy from the tar and the smoke.
Mm-hmm.
and because everybody smoked around kids, the kids had to take the 39 steps too,
Yep.
to quit the habit.
Exactly.
They start getting the shakes. Mom, I need you to smoke. Just light one up, please.
Can you blow some
I know,
smoke in my
you
face,
try to-
please?
Try to steal a cigarette from your parents, get your butt beat. But then they would smoke like 8 packs in front of you. So you're basically.
Well, it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
No. My dad can remember his dad telling him to go get him a pack of cigarettes.
Yeah, you used to be able to go to the store and get it with like a note from your parents, but that's because the people at the store knew everybody in town.
Yo.
Just pin it to your shirt with the money.
Yes, that's exactly what my grandma used to do. Like sometimes when she'd like want me to go grocery shopping for her, she'd just do that, and I'd walk up because I knew the cash register, the cashier. Like she was like a friend of the family, and so I just walk in, be like, "Hi," and she's like, "Okay, I'll go get I'll go get him. You just stay here." So while yes, I think I'm younger than everyone on the panel. I was raised by my grandma, so I still got to experience some of those old school things.
Makes you a better person.
It does. It really does.
It does, yep.
This opening is really good. Just like
So
not focusing on a face.
Right. You have no idea who anybody is, what the premise is. Just this guy is going to a music hall, which is, I guess, like a kind of like a variety show. It had music, and then maybe dancers would come out or something, and then they would have like stage performers, kind of thing. And then so it had a orchestra pit that played live music. There was no like playing recordings or anything. So this is an older style of entertainment. This wasn't like super modern 1935. This is more, almost 1890s kind of stuff.
Yeah, it is variety show in an old, probably at the point of filming, probably 50 to 100 years old opera hall.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
If not older.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It was like
definitely
Sherlock
could be
Holmes was up in here and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so this guy's introducing, he's called the what's he called? Memory?
Oh, I can't remember.
I can't
Remember,
Which is funny because he's all about remembering things.
Right. I can't remember what he was called.
Yeah.
He's credited in the credits, but basically he can remember anything. Like he has an eidetic memory. So
He's Matt. He's the guy who knows everything about everything.
He is.
Everything.
That's Matt.
And so they're like, into the audience, they're like, he's this guy, he can do all this stuff. They're like, ask him any question. And people start asking him like, how old's Mae West?
Mhm.
So, and for anybody who doesn't know, Mae West was a very popular actress at the time. She wound up being one of the most popular pinups during the war, World War II.
Yeah, and
but,
those yellow flotation devices at the military war, they call them a Mae
they called
West.
Mae West, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing is that even today, a show like this might be
Hey, love it.
interesting if you could like get somebody to recite, information, but now everybody in the audience would have their phone out and be on Google or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know?
Which is what I did to find out that the guy's name or his performance name is actually just Memory.
Memory, okay.
Played by Wiley Watson.
But people in the audience are just shouting out like, who won the boxing championship in 1903? And he would say it, and they'd be like, is he correct? And he'd be like, yes, he is. And then other people just asking him random stuff. Like this old guy's like, how do you cure this certain disease in chickens? And the lady's like, shut up. And he's like, well, we got chickens and they got the problem. So he keeps trying to ask.
That's not for memory, dum dum.
Yeah.
Yeah, somebody asked a question about 1936, and his response, which I love, is come back in 1937 and I'll tell you.
Yeah. And then, so here's the bar. That was the bar. The guys are just all up against the bar drinking. And they're pretty rowdy.
As typically people in bars are.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, look, there's women in there too. So it's not necessarily like a pub where it's more, it was kind of, back then in a pub, women kind of hung out in one area and men in another. Kind of the same way saloons were in the old days.
Yeah.
Unless you were a waitress or
right. But these
another thing.
Yeah, if you worked there or whatever. But if you were a patron, usually it was a little more separated. But they have the pit seating or whatever, so that's all just there.
Yeah. And then it starts a bar brawl.
Well, so the main character is the guy in the coat.
Which guy? There's plenty of guys in coats.
You can tell who it is because the lighting is favorable. He's wearing a lighter colored coat than everybody else, so he stands out.
He definitely stands out.
Yeah, and he asks what the distance is between like Ontario and something in Manitoba or something like that, and the guy gives him the answer. So apparently he's literally just here for the show, and then somebody shoots a gun. You didn't see it was like a little like miniature pistol, and it causes this panic.
Yeah, it's a little Saturday Night Special.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I've got it. There it is.
With pocket gun.
That's probably,
EDB.
if I had to guess, that's probably a 32.
That's it. See, but it's magazine fed,
yeah.
and it looks like like if you've played Battlefield 1, which is a World War I era, it's like one of those kinds of guns. But anyway, and obviously you can tell who's firing it, that it's a woman because of the gloves.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so that goes off. It causes this like stampede rush.
Mm-hmm.
And I just have to,
because why wouldn't it?
I just have to point out, because the gun stuff has always stood out to me ever since I started owning guns, is that slide does not go back. Nothing about that operates like it should.
Well, yeah.
I mean, and that's to be expected. I mean, that's not a nitpick. It's just an observation.
It's a prop gun.
Yeah.
But okay, see, there's the lady with the little box with the strap. She'd walk around and
this scene here, they like just shove them out of the way.
These guys are all like, get out of the way. Yeah.
It's like everybody in here turns into George. It's like, get out of the way.
It's the George Costanza moment. Where he knocks down the old lady to get out of the apartment.
So, and then this guy's like, quick, play something to calm him down. And I'm like thinking to myself, that's just going to confuse things more.
Right?
You got all this music and stuff. This stampede is well underway. Then the ushers. One of the thing is that some of the guys at the bar started getting rowdy, and the ushers came in to kind of handle them, and a little bit of a scuffle broke out. And that's when the the gun went off, and then this lady comes up to this guy. I mean, okay, so look at him. Look at his jacket. It's lighter in color than absolutely everybody else's, except for her.
Yeah.
She has dark, but she's wearing a light scarf, so she'll stand out. Look at the
Mhm.
lighting on their
Mhm.
face. Their faces are much whiter and well lit than everybody else. So they use makeup and lighting. And this is how you can tell that he's the main character, the main character, or is.
Zax. No, that's my channel. I'm the one that reads books.
But she just randomly comes up and says, "Hey, can
I go home with you?
Can I go home with you?" And he's like, okay.
Your funeral.
Yeah, well, things were a little different back then. Now, if a woman said that to you, you'd be like, "What's your angle?"
Nah.
And he still has kind of that, but it was a little bit more gentlemanly back then. Like, you were expected to, escort women and things like that if they were in need.
Well, see, I find it interesting that you say it that way. When I was thinking more like, "Can I go home with you?" It's like, heck yeah.
Well, right. But just as a matter of course, I think most people,
Yeah.
that was not something that women did back then. Like now, they weren't like, subscribe to my OnlyFans, or whatever. So,
or the Only Feats.
yeah.
That's
Cave
next
drawings,
week,
yes.
Zax.
Yeah. But it turns out this guy's Canadian, and he's here for business, and he's renting an apartment on the first floor, which there's a distinction in England and Europe between the first floor and what we consider a first floor in America. If I said the first floor in America, right, that means the ground floor.
Yeah.
First floor in Europe means it's one flight up.
Yeah.
Which makes more sense, in my opinion.
I can't argue against it, but I'm
04?
American, so I'm going to argue against it.
That's
Yes.
what,
You have to.
This guy actually turns out to be extremely intelligent, and quick thinking. Because if you were just some regular person, it's not like a superpower or anything, and there's no explanation for it. It just, the things that he does, they're not in the movie, are not like, he's not a great feats of strength or anything like that, but his mental acuity and his wit and speed with which he thinks is really, really like super high.
Yeah, I mean, because he is completely just like accidentally finds himself in basically every situation.
Right.
Even when he decides he makes the decision that we'll see in a little bit to go see somebody, everything that happens along there is just kind of like, whoops. Well, now what do I do?
So this character is, what was her name? Anne Smith? Annabelle.
Well, she gives a couple different names,
right?
But
something's off with her. And then when he gets to the second floor apartment, she's like, she wants the light out till she can get between the windows so people can't see her because there's no curtains.
Yeah, she's credited as just Miss Smith.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But she does give
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
She also has a slight European accent, like German or
it's either it's either Eastern European or a little bit of the like
Austrian.
Yes, German.
German, somewhere from there.
The Germans.
Well, the German, you got Austrian German from this, Mando.
I was trying to rack my brain and make the brain work, but it's just not.
It's where the people with the hats are.
Yeah, but
yeah, when you first see her reaction when they go inside, it kind of reads as like she's uncomfortable with just it basically being an empty apartment. Everything's covered in sheets and such. Because it wasn't until like I think this point where she wanted to have the mirror turned, I thought, okay, there's something about her. It's not her reaction to the apartment.
Her entire reaction is she's afraid. This is me just having played multiple video games, and so she's afraid of getting sniped out from outside the window. Is what it is. Yeah, turn the mirror around so they can't look in the mirror and see what she's in there. stay away from the windows kind of thing.
Yeah, but initially I think it reads kind of like I'm uncomfortable with this weird apartment, which is a good twist because you kind of get, at least I did. I got that feeling first, and then I started realizing, oh, there's more to this person.
She gave off like really weird vibes. Like for until you come in the door, you think maybe she's like, I don't know. You don't really know that much about her, and I'm thinking maybe she's a high-end prostitute or something. But why would she target this guy out of that giant crowd? That doesn't seem like a place where you would meet a client.
Yeah.
So something was going on. And she's very forthcoming too, real quick. She's like, by the way, I'm a spy, but I don't work for any particular country. I work for the highest bidder. And he's like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. And then,
yeah, what for what country? And she says, like, I have no country.
right. She's just whoever the highest bidder is. And he's like, well, what are you doing here? Are you trying to steal something? And she's like, no, I'm trying to prevent something to get stolen because the British government will pay me the most for doing that. And so then they go in the kitchen, and he's got this high-tech refrigerator.
So she's
right
a
there.
freelancer.
Right. She's a freelancer. And she's hungry, so she wants some food. This is back when kitchens had that nice tile floor like that.
So she technically is a prostitute,
Yeah.
just for information.
Kind of. But she lets him know throughout these scenes that something about something from the British Air Ministry is going to be stolen and smuggled out of the country within a matter of days or hours, which is why she needs his help. Because also during this time, the phone rang, and she's like, don't answer it. And so he didn't. And then she tells him, hey, there's two guys following me. And that's why I was the one that shot in I shot the gun off in the dance hall or whatever to like make a distraction. So, and then he's just going to randomly cook up some like raw fish for her. So the place got to smell wonderful.
Well, he also like takes a knife to look out the window and was like, what is the knife going to do with anybody outside arm
Yeah,
range?
here we go. He's like, do you like haddock or whatever this is? And she's like, sure.
Haddock's good fish.
These ones here say it's stall rage. What are they talking about? Something about it. Maybe she's Lily Von Stewart. Yeah.
Nadia.
So I wasn't. Nadia. This is post. I can always forget what it's called, but there's a pre-code where things were really racy, like in the late 20s, early 30s. But then after 1934, they put in the film code, and you couldn't get away with any of that stuff. So this is post-film code.
Well, I mean, at the beginning, it basically rated this as for adults. Like it was rated A.
It is.
And they definitely do some things in this film that are absolutely not racy by today's standards. But for the time, later on, we see like a dude holding up a bra. That I have to imagine would have set so many people off that just said, we can't have that.
The context, though, was not in a naughty way.
Well,
he was a salesman trying to show the other guy, hey, this is what we're selling.
But I think in this, again, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm definitely not a film guy. I think that's something Hitchcock does with a lot of things, is he presents something that normally would be perceived in one way, but he presents it in a different way to kind of get away with bringing in some like raciness or violence or something in a way that you wouldn't normally expect.
I think it got the adult rating because of the violence.
Well, that and the taking the stockings off.
Yeah.
Ooh, his
and they sat on the they sat on the same
her
bed
ankles.
Together. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but so, and this is back before sliced bread, so you had to slice your own bread.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they had sliced bread, but it just wasn't. Maybe it wasn't popular in England. And I don't think he took the knife with him, like to defend himself. He just had it in his hand from cutting the bread, and she was insistent that he go look. And here are these
Well, I
two
mean,
guys just,
maybe
like, hanging out
not,
in the
but the way it was filmed is it's framed as if that he had the knife there, because there's even one shot, I think it's only like a frame or two, that focuses in on the knife in his hand. And
oh, well, that's because that's a little foreshadowing of
oh,
what's to come
okay,
later. Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
it's Chekhov's bread knife, I guess.
yeah. I mean, Mando,
Yeah.
what did you get at this point in the story? What did you think that she was like just trying to shack up with this dude or what?
No. I've read too many mystery novels, too many spy novels. I knew, like, the fact that I thought that she was gonna be some sort of. I thought she was actually the bad guy. I thought that was gonna be the
twist?
plot twist at the
Yeah.
end, was she was actually the bad guy and stuff, and like he was sent on this wild goose chase, and turns out it was all because she's actually the bad guy. But I knew that she was I from other similar movies I've seen, I knew she was being truthful. I just thought it was going to be a different plot twist than what it was. Bye,
Hey, Record.
Yeah,
Thanks for stopping by.
Have a good show, man.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah, that
didn't
was
really
my,
know exactly what to read from her, but I knew that there was something else. There was more than what she was saying.
Yes.
Even if what she was saying was truthful, there was more behind it.
The other thing is I felt like they cooked that fish pretty fast. like it's not done.
I mean, if you can get a pan hot enough, you can cook things pretty fast.
I mean, that's some weird stuff that I noticed
pretty
about the
thin
film, but it
fillets, though.
was. Yeah. I mean, it looked kind of done when they pulled it off, when he pulled it off the thing, but I don't know. Also, you got to remember that was probably a gas stove.
cooked. Oh, yeah. Yeah. They heat it pretty quick. And there he is. Roman of the Vampire is here.
Roman of the Vampire.
the only man older than Shieldwall of Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
Roman, sorry you're not feeling 100%. Yeah. Thanks for dropping by. Hope you feel better, man.
Yeah,
I deal with insomnia myself.
Stupid raccoons, man. They have special.
Well, look on the bright
the
side.
raccoons poisoned something in Roman's stuff.
At least you don't have to go to a 12-hour night shift or something after not being able to sleep all night. That was when it was really bad. Yeah.
So the
okay, so I definitely didn't look this up beforehand, because until Shield mentioned it, I didn't think about the cook time. For New England baked haddock, it's 15 minutes cook time. So I guess if you put it in a really hot, like searing, blistering hot cast iron skillet, you could probably do that in about 5.
Yeah, I mean, who knows how much time elapsed when he's out there messing around looking for the guys out the window and stuff. But so he's like, all right, well, you can sleep in the one room and I'll sleep in the other. Cool. And then she comes in, and this part was way overacted. I can't convey you to how badly overacted this was. This was almost, I thought she was joking. She was like, oh, they run, or what? I can't remember what she said, but she was like,
no, she said, you're next, right?
Yeah, you're next. And then, but think of the most, like, Bugs Bunny trying to be, over dramatic to Elmer Fudd to, like, sucker him into thinking
I'm dying
that he's dead or something. Yeah, exactly. Dying, I tell you. Yeah, it was like that. I was actually kind of surprised that they did that, and it wasn't for comedy though. It was like serious.
Yeah.
And
and the phone rings again, and he
decides
not to answer.
My thought was, why didn't he take the phone off the hook the last time?
Yeah.
Because they call like 3 times. They call the first time, she says don't answer it. When they're in the kitchen, they call again, and she's like, so he closes the door, the kitchen door, so it won't like bother him. And I was like, just take the phone off the hook. But anyway, and then they call
Now,
again now.
I think that's the knife he was using, isn't it?
It is. It was a knife he had in the kitchen.
It looks like, yeah.
His face shows no concern. It's more like, huh,
It's like,
look at that.
yeah,
That's
this
weird.
always happens to me when I travel.
Yeah.
Oh, again. Oh my God.
Well,
And Christopher Lee would be like, no, that's not how it sounds. That's not how it works.
actually, he wouldn't have known that.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
no,
no,
Christopher Lee fought in World War I, didn't he?
No, World War II. He was not that old.
Too, yeah.
He was a young man in the mid-30s. If he'd have fought in World War I, he would have been like the 90s or way into his 90s by the time he'd have been almost 100 by the time the first Lord of the Rings came around.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, so he doesn't show very much emotion. He's very, so this is where you get that he's cool under pressure. Right. Well, I don't know. Maybe he took some stuff from the Microsoft game developers or whatever that said that, got to get rid of women and men can't show emotion or have to show more emotion. So they definitely wouldn't go for it these days.
All I picture is Christopher Lee riding into combat, listening to heavy metal.
Yes. Yes.
And specifically riding on a horse, not a Jeep.
Yes.
Jeeps are cool.
Yeah, this guy definitely takes this
jingle hell.
Yeah. This guy definitely takes this weird because he's like, oh, so somebody was after her. Now she's dead.
And then he can see these guys literally down on the street making the phone call. Like these guys are not even attempting to hide.
Right. I thought that was a little weird, to be honest. But at the same time, it's probably not that crazy to see two guys at a phone booth.
See, you say this is a little bit weird, and I think this is just the brazen, like, we're going to do it anyway brashness of overpowered government. But that's my, libertarianism coming out. So, take that for what it is.
So also at dinner, she asked if he had a map of Scotland. And she was like, I got to go to Scotland. I got to meet somebody to like try to stop this whole thing from happening, this transfer of these secrets. So when she came in, stabbed, she had the map in her hand.
Mm-hmm.
Also, so here was my whole question / observation / I don't understand this particular scene. If the person who stabbed her knew that she was staying with someone and that she had divulged some secrets to said someone, why would the assassin not assassinate him too?
Right,
just to tie up loose ends.
Like the only thing I could think of is somehow
would be no movie.
She went downstairs to like try to get out of there, and they stabbed her in the back. But then where'd they get the knife from? Maybe she had it and they disarmed it. Does, but you're right. This is the biggest plot hole I've seen in a movie so far. Is like why he didn't hear anything. Why didn't they come in and try to like off him? They obviously knew he was in there because they saw her go in.
Yes. If I'm going to be generous, though, let's say they think that she went home with him as kind of like what we thought earlier, like a high price call girl sort of situation, and she didn't. Maybe they just think that she didn't divulge anything, because why would you give up these incredibly serious like secrets?
But then why would they call? Why would they be calling up there? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And other than to see if maybe she survived, it just doesn't. Why call? The guy isn't going to answer the phone. I mean, I could do a bunch of mental gymnastics and be like, well, she thought she could escape, but she took the knife for defense. She got outside, they disarmed her with the knife and then stabbed her in the back. She ran back upstairs. and then locked the door behind her. And then she came in and said all this stuff to him. Then they
But
called to see if
the
she was still
window was
alive.
open, though. The window was
Yeah, that
open.
like they literally
too,
did
so-
a like a zoom in pan shot of the window being open, and it makes you
I
feel
love
like that's how they got in.
Maybe
Thanks for
she
stopping
got
by.
out the window that way.
Maybe.
I don't know. It's just,
So you're telling me she with a with being stabbed in the back, she climbed up the window seal.
No. This is before she got stabbed. She went out the window.
Maybe
to
she
try to escape
accidentally
from him.
stabbed herself in the back.
And then she jumped down. Right,
The
she had the
Clintons
knife.
know about that.
Then she dropped it. Then they grabbed it and they stabbed her.
Yeah.
And then she ran back up through the stairwell into the place.
All right.
I don't know. I mean,
let me again, playing devil's advocate. Let's say that they knew he was in there. They stabbed her, killed her. They're wanting to frame this guy. Why would they call? It's tell us what she told you, or you're on the hook for murdering this woman. So, I mean, yeah, I'm jumping through a lot of hoops to get there, but I guess it kind of works.
That was my biggest thing about the beginning. I'm just like, wait, so they have the window open, making it seem like that's how the people got in. But then why didn't they just kill him? So,
yeah, I think the biggest, I think the biggest kind of argument for that is, what did she tell you? Like they want to know information. Like she wouldn't have told them information, but maybe he knew something and they thought that they could frame him and kind of bully him into giving up info.
It's just
but
a little
we're thinking way too much into it.
It is just a little odd that they would go up into the apartment, stab her, and go back down and call him instead of like
right
holding the gun.
Unless there
him,
was
like,
I'm just like that's so.
So this is telling me that J.J. Abrams did this. Basically, mystery bot. He starts a thread, or it's any modern writer. They start all these thread lines of like, "Ooh, what happened?" and they never address it again. You never see it. It just dead ends, and then they they press on. You know,
was it?
So I don't know. Maybe
that coined the phrase MacGuffin.
Yes.
Okay.
It is, but maybe I don't know. Maybe people in the audience were like modern people today watching Star Wars, like, "What the hell? What is this? This doesn't make any sense."
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised.
I just wonder if they had people back then, except now instead of posting on Twitter and on YouTube and stuff, they were writing into like the paper.
Yeah, it would have been an article.
This movie was hot garbage.
Oh yeah, I'm because like newspapers used to have like movie reviews and stuff like that, and so I imagine there was probably some obscure movie article about this that was like, I still do not understand the plot hole at the beginning of the movie, but understandably, without him not dying, there's no movie.
I love this bit here where he just basically buys the milkman's jacket and truck.
Yeah.
The other question I have is, does this place have a back door?
First he's like, he actually tells him the truth of what's happened. And the guy's like, "Oh, don't tell me that. That's joking." And then he says, "Oh, I'm actually, having an affair." And he's like, "Well, why didn't you say so?"
Yeah, he's like, the two guys out there
are the
husband and brother of the lady I was just with. And he's like, "Oh, why didn't you say so? I'll give you this stuff for free. Just leave it around the corner when you're done." Because he needed to get out of there. Speaking of people delivering milk, I was stationed in England in the early 90s, and they were still doing that back then.
Like, I bet you that milk tasted better than what we have in the States.
Yeah, I mean, it was pasteurized. So it's basically the same. It's just they deliver it to your house.
Yeah.
Relatively fresh. But, I mean, is anything really fresh these days?
I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some areas that still get daily deliveries of milk in England. It's just part of their process.
Roman, you know about as much about this movie as we do then. Pretty but yeah, it was, so this part was all right. this made sense. Like most of the movie from here on out kind of makes sense.
I mean, even down to some details, like he puts on the coat and the hat and he leaves, but then the guy's like, "Oh, you forgot the empties," and that makes sense to me to tell the guys that are out there watching that this might not be the milkman because he didn't bring the empties out, which leads to them continuing to tail him. So his disguise doesn't work as well as he thinks it does because he didn't follow through with the job.
I mean, yeah,
I don't know.
it makes sense to me.
I mean, it's just a little thing that jumped out to me. I might be overthinking it, but I mean, if you're watching everybody going in and out of the building, if the milkman goes in, then immediately comes out with no empties, something seems a little bit weird.
For those of y'all that don't know, they didn't just throw the bottles away. They reused the bottles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they just took them back and
Reuse?
yeah, you washed them in hot water and a soap solution and then refilled them.
Roman's got a theme going.
Yeah. Is that the little milk cart? It had a horse attached to it? I don't remember
Yeah.
seeing
Yeah.
that part.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Okay. Most people these days would know how to drive that.
I mean, even in the
Unless
age
you grew
of,
up in the country.
even in the age of like early motorized vehicles, if you have to start and stop something every other house, a horse made more sense.
Look, in the sky, it's a bird. No, it's a plane. No, it's the Flying Scotsman. I
So
hope he's not
is
wearing a
it
kilt.
sad? Is it sad that I know the Flying Scotsman from a Forza video game? There
The
was,
train?
yeah.
Would you have to like race it or something?
Oh, it was like Forza Horizons 4, I think it was.
Yeah, it was. That took place in the UK, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
because there's a racetrack that intersects with the famous track that the Flying Scotsman went on.
So so right now they no one's discovered the body or anything. So he's basically got a little head start. Apparently this dude has significant means of money too. I mean, he's like super rich or anything, but he's got money. You know, he's not broke.
Yeah.
So he's able to buy tickets and do a couple things.
I mean, anybody these at the time period that this falls in that can just on a whim go from England to Scotland, just buy a train ticket, just go, I'm going there.
Yeah, you can
That's
still do
not
that
a cheap
today.
thing. Well, yeah, but I mean, that wasn't a small bit of money that he forked over to
Right.
just go because some who now dead woman said, "Hey, I was going there."
And this is where this guy's like, hey, look at our new line of girdles and stuff.
Yeah,
So
girdles and corsets and stuff, and
it,
basically women's
in the
undergarments.
20s, right? They had the flapper look where everything was like super like a flat chested and straight. So you wanted your dresses to hang straight. You don't want to have any curves. Well, in the late 1800s, they had the corsets because they wanted curves. They wanted the hourglass shape. Well, in the 20s, the late teens, early 20s, that style went away and it came out with the whole flapper, thing with the bob haircut and all. And so women wanted a more slim fit. So they invented these rubberized corsets that would push everything together. And even back then, if you were skinny, it would help you look more straight. And that's what this guy was saying. Hey, we got these rubberized, corsets and a brassiere that goes with it. And but that's where this guy is like, I don't know if he's a priest or what, but he was like, they're like, sorry, we're talking business. And that's what they were. They were talking business. They weren't like, hey, I got this off of some girl I, was with last night. He's showing him his work samples.
It's not smut, but it pushed the lines in filmmaking, I think. It brought things, like I said previously, it brought things in into a different connotation, but still would have technically fallen under like
But I
censorship
think
sort
it's
of
more of
things.
this guy's looking at him like, why are these dudes talking about women's underwear?
Yeah.
And then, but they're salespeople. That's their job.
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
this guy with the glasses here on the left, he tells a lot of jokes and stuff. They're like joking with the other guys, like, "Hey, have you heard this one?" And he's like, "Ah, I can't keep them all straight. You know, I've heard so many jokes."
Yeah.
And
And he also knows something, as we'll see
Mm-hmm.
in a moment.
Which I still don't understand what he knew. Like that, I guess I I didn't track him well enough to be like, where does he show up again later on and stuff? But
Well,
he was
I
being
think
super
there is
sus.
a lot of ambiguity in this film, and I don't say that as a bad thing. I think it leaves a lot of room in for the viewer to kind of think, well, what if?
then this guy with the pipe, he starts making these kind of. I wish I could remember exactly what it said. God, my memory's so bad. But
I love
he
his pipe, by the way.
he
It's a
was
very
making
nice
like
pipe.
all these meta statements about stuff that was kind of like would have been super like aware and edgy for the time with technology and things like that. God, I wish I could remember what he was saying. Um, but it was a good scene. Like these two guys, and also I missed where Alfred Hitchcock is in this movie. He's in here somewhere. I just didn't see it when it was going on. Maybe I was too busy. I might have went to get a drink or water or something when it happened. But so now he sees the paper, so he really wants to see what's going on in the paper, and this guy's like
Yeah,
flopping it around.
yeah, because
Woman
they're
found
talking
dead in
about it, and
flat. Yeah.
he's kind of like, oh, this is weird. Hey, can I see that? Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
Mystery of a missing Canadian rancher. So he's a rancher. Um, and then that's his picture with his like ranch hat on, I guess. So guess he's a Canadian cowboy in a way.
see, this is where you get the impression that that guy knows something, because it's not so much that our protagonist is reading the newspaper, but
It's those
he's
eyes.
noticing that somebody is watching him, and they have this very obvious back and forth just with the eyes.
Rancher equals Ron Jeremy. Uh, I don't know. Was he in Ghostbusters later?
Mhm.
Because
I hate. I, I forgot I was muted, and I've just been
Mhm.
talking. It's like,
We're not trying to ignore you, Jacob. I'm sorry.
oh, Zax is like, why does he know about 1920s corsets? Because I watched a short on it today, just randomly popped up. Somebody was talking about the differences between the two. Yeah.
yeah, Shieldwall used to sell undergarments. That's why he knows so much.
Roman.
Interesting.
So then he gets
It's like
he's like,
here
I'm
here
just
he
gonna. Oh yeah, go ahead, Jacob.
he's just gonna tell the police officer. It's like no, this guy's not gonna believe me.
Right. He's like,
Yeah,
I didn't believe it either.
he stepped onto a train just being some guy, and stepped off the train being in the news and somebody they're looking for. So his world is completely like swapped from what it was before.
Right.
Right.
I guess I also was curious why the police immediately went to the train. Like, how did the police know to be there?
Well, because that would be the most.
Well,
I can't remember. Did they figure out that he was heading to Scotland somehow?
Well, you see, I forgive a lot of the how did they do certain things in this film by the definition as we learn of the 39 steps as a spy organization. So I assume
Yeah.
that they saw him get on the train. I assume that the guy who's staring over the top of the newspaper and smiling at him knows why he's there and who he is and is part of the organization. I maybe I'm giving it too much credit, but I assume a lot of what we see throughout this is that organization that is trying to stay hidden.
That makes sense. Yeah. When like forgetting that like it's a secret spy organization and that there are eyes everywhere. So yeah, that makes
and we don't know what the 39 steps is or what that woman was trying to information she was trying to convey until the almost very end of the film.
And then they don't really go that deep into it.
Right. So it's very easy to just kind of gloss over it and go, oh, it was just a spy thing. But I mean, if you go into it kind of thinking that, it kind of covers things up.
So,
except for this.
This chick, I want the whole movie. I just wanted to smack her. I just want to punch her in the face. Like, I think this is why some older movies I didn't care for during some of my younger years was because I'm like, not all women are stupid. Like, bruh, they're not all this obnoxious. They're not all this stupid, and they're not all that helpless. Like, God almighty. Like, there's some of the things that she did.
I mean, yes, most of the things she did, but to her credit right now, when the cops come in and say, hey, who is this dude? She goes, that's your guy. She doesn't play along in the moment. I mean, I know eventually she kind of comes around, but in the moment she's like,
but then you have like, yeah, but then you have North by Northwest, the woman in that, she's like, she's pegs what's going on from the beginning. I mean, she's kind of halfway in on it, but she's really smart. The girl in Rear Window is smart, so it's this time
it's
period
not all...
does seem to have like the damsel in distress all the time
trope.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I totally get what you're saying, Mando. It's just I did want to point out that part where, because you would kind of expect somebody this time frame where if they came in and say, hey, is this your husband? She would just say yes, and she goes, no, that's your guy. Arrest him.
That moment, I understood. Like, some random dude comes into a car with you and starts making out. You're like, what the heck is going on? I got that. It's every other interaction after this moment that I'm just like, I don't like her.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at her reactions, kind of how he found himself roped into a spy world, it's a little bit more understandable, I think, because like he found himself in a world where he was doing things that he never thought he would do and working with people he didn't think he'd be working with. So yeah, okay, I could kind of see her kind of coming around to that. It still is kind of icky, but I think there's enough there to explain it away, at least for this film.
One thing that's really good about this film is the cinematography, like
him
being on the outside of that train, those kinds of things. Because this is all obviously a set, but the transition between sets and back projection screens and real, like on-set footage or on location footage is pretty seamless and pretty good for its time.
Although I do have to call out the bad guys for, hey, the guy we want is on a train traveling at high speeds. Let's stop the train.
Well, that
like the conductor is just like, you imbeciles.
But these are police that are after him for the murder. They don't know. These aren't the bad guys, though.
Okay.
The bad guys didn't
right. Yeah.
So they probably want to keep him in their jurisdiction. Okay.
There's two sets of people after him. There's the people that are from the spy organization, which were the guys outside, and one of them has like a leather trench coat, so that's how you can tell he's a bad guy. And then these are just
Yeah.
regular police. These are like 2 inspectors and some regular cops. And so
Okay.
But sometimes
obviously-
they overlap, which makes it a little weird and difficult.
It doesn't overlap. What it is the people that are the secret agents are pretending to be police. That's why you get this overlap. They're not really cops, but they pretend to be. Up to the and that's the other thing is in this movie is nobody produces credentials whatsoever. There's no like badge I got to show. Now the uniform cops, it's obvious that they're cops, but everyone else just kind of says who they are, and people just go with it. So,
I mean, I will give credit if you're going to stop a train because you got a fugitive on board. A bridge is where you would want to do it.
well, a bridge
Yes.
actually, if you do it on the bridge, there's nowhere else for them to go.
Yeah.
So they can't like run off into the countryside or something. But of course, the conductor is like, "Hey, man, you can't. It's illegal to stop on the bridge. You can't do this." And apparently, if you pull that chain, my understanding is that just didn't stop the train. It just gave the signal to the people up
Yes.
front to stop it.
Oh, really? I thought it was an
Nah.
immediate, like an emergency, like
Nah,
makes
that's
train
how it
stop.
always is in the movies and stuff. No, you
No, it
can't,
just like
'cause-
rings a bell up front
right.
and they
You don't
decide
want
if
it
they
to
want to
just
stop.
randomly stop any old time because you could throw a train off the tracks if it's going on a corner or something.
Yeah.
All it does is send a signal. Now modern
I learned a new thing.
subways and stuff, I don't think that those go because all it would take is some jackhole to just pull that thing every 5 seconds
Right.
to stop it. So,
Yeah, so that bridge, by the way, because I don't know why I wanted to look it up, but I just got the errors. That's the Victoria Bridge in Upper Arley, Worcestershire.
yeah. But I don't know. I mean, maybe I got to look into that a little more research or whatever. But I do know that back then, when you pulled the thing, it just didn't stop it. It would just send a signal to the front
Yeah,
because everything was all like big levers and stuff. So
it's kind of like when you're on, even today on a bus, and you're like, you hit the thing saying, "This is my stop." It's the driver that decides the next stop. So they might pass you up because they didn't have enough time to stop and move over safely.
oh yeah,
So
if
they'll
you-
go to the next one.
Yep. I have been.
Now, I don't know if this is a set or an actual filming the location. So
I know.
it looks pretty good.
This almost looks like a model, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, some of the Scottish Highlands are the scale from a distance. I could
Mhm.
see looking like this.
But it looks like a set the way it's
Yeah.
lit, like when you see them like skylined. But then again, it could just be the equipment they use. Because
Yeah.
so he gets off the train, he runs away, and he goes miles into the hinterlands here. Now this looks like a real outdoor shot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it does.
I mean, and also just this being black and white, that kind of affects our perception of it too.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Because there's
One
so
of the-
much in the contrast of
Or-
color that allows us to perceive
Mhm.
depth, not just contrast itself, but contrast of color.
Like one of the really cool things about like this and like other black and white movies is so often like while you could add color and be cool and all that, it doesn't need it. The camera work and the lighting and the shadows, like it doesn't need color. It looks
Right.
fine as it is.
Melvin, I think that was supposed to be the fourth bridge, but it might not have been the actual bridge that they shot it on. But it could have been.
Yeah, I mean that's something that we've seen, or I can only speak for myself, that I've seen going back and watching these older movies. Thanks, it completely to Jacob, because these things that I would never have watched, is when you have somebody who really understands lighting in black and white and how film absorbs color in black and white, you get really beautifully dramatic shots with absolutely no color in them.
And like there's like a glow almost like for it, like black and white movies have. Like when they zoom in, it's almost like the actor or actress is like glowing almost.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's because of the makeup and the lighting. Like here, is this outside or on a set?
I kind of
I-
think it's both.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a screen in the back that they're projecting real like outdoor footage
I mean,
on.
that looks like a miniature right there. Especially when you
Or-
see the truck moving, it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks.
I mean, there's definitely some
Ooh.
sort of special effects going on here.
And then you see the
This-
real truck.
This whole
outside.
interaction was interesting. So he's like, "Hey, I'm looking for work," and he's like, "There's no work around here." He's like, "Oh, can a guy give me a ride in a truck?" And he's like, "No, he's going the other way to where he's going," because he tells him where he's going. He's like, "Well, can somebody come by?" And or can I walk there? And he's like, "Nah, it'll be dark." So he's like, "Huh? Well, can you put me up for the night?" And he's like, "For free." He's like, "No, I'll pay." So he pays him up front. So I guess back then you could just roll up to somebody's house and be like, "Yo, dude, I'll give you like $50 if you let me stay in your house." In every
mean,
show that you see nowadays, like, "Hey, invite this handyman in to work for you," is always a disaster for murder or something. Is always a recipe for that.
I mean, if I had like a separate like secondary house little hut thing, yeah, you could do. You could offer me some money and
Yeah.
I'd say, sure, go sleep over there. I've got my locks and guns. I don't really care, but it would take a decent amount of money for me to say,
Yeah, in your
sure,
house.
walk into my home and just sleep here for the night, and I'll totally be okay with that. That would take a lot of money.
well, I
So-
think it's also a
I mean-
very different like culture, like as far as time period and culture, like that wasn't super uncommon during that time because like cars were not really a big
No.
thing. Horses are expensive. So like a lot of people would travel by foot. And if you just so happen to get caught up in a storm, like
Plus, TV shows like Cops run around and Unsolved Mysteries and all these things that
Well,
that
and I think that's much more common with it, as we see here, with like countryside culture, where this is the only house that you have a possibility to stay at and be sheltered for the night for the next 10 hours of walking. So, yeah,
Right.
you might walk and find something that you didn't expect, but it's getting dark.
I mean,
so
look where he's
you just
look
bring
where
people
he's
in.
sleeping.
they
That's
call
where
that a
he's
box
sleeping.
bed.
You could lock
Yeah.
those doors.
Yeah.
mhm.
Box bed. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, also, when he walks up, the farmer guy's like, he's like calls her out, and the guy's like, "Oh, is this your daughter?" And he's like, "No, it's my wife." So he's like, "Okay."
that whole relationship kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies just a little bit.
Well, I mean,
Uh,
people even back then, older,
It was-
Oh yeah.
she
It
would
was
marry the
normal
guy
back then.
because she's younger. She doesn't look like she's 15 or anything. I mean, she looks like she's in her 20s, maybe.
yeah.
Right. What I mean when I mean by the heebie-jeebies, it's not that he's like 100 years older than her. It's how he treats her that kind of gives me the
Oh, well, it is Scotland.
Which
so,
was more common,
Sean
especially
Connery
kind of
and all.
rural areas. I mean, even my grandparents
some
on my
stuff he
mother's
says
side,
is not
the
untrue
yeah,
about cities.
even my grandparents on my mother's side, the age difference was much more than I ever knew it was until later in my life. And
Yeah.
that was kind of the tail end of being societally acceptable for that sort of, you go off, you join the military, you come back, you're 28, and then you meet somebody who's like 16 or something. And so, yeah,
My grandpa was
yeah.
10 years older than my grandma. So
Yeah. But I mean, and also just in the behavior, just how somebody treated somebody like that for the time period, I can understand it. Was it right? No, but I think it fits for the time period and the location, kind of being rural Scotland.
yeah, absolutely. I
But
as
yes,
an
it's
objective
it's icky.
Yeah, that's all I meant by I was just like, oh, she seems so sweet. And he speaks to her like she's not a human. So,
Yeah.
How the hell he speaks to her like she's like the maid or something, you know.
yes.
But she's happy to see this guy, and then he asks her, while the husband's out putting the horses away or whatever. She's like, he's like, "Where are you from?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm from like Glasgow or something." And he says, "Oh, I've never been there." It's like, "Do you miss the big city?" She's like, "Sometimes." But you could tell that she's really happy that he's here because she has somebody to talk to. He's a younger guy, probably around her age. You kind of get this kind of tension, like she was kind of almost, in a way, you know, I can already see it like playing out in her head, like, man, I kind of wish I would have married a dude like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
Yeah,
even not going that far, it's like her, what is, I'm sure this mundane day-to-day life has been stirred up and changed.
right.
It just so happens to
Yeah.
be by a dude with a mustache that makes you want to fall in love with him.
And like you can tell this dude's old fashioned. He still has like a pocket watch chain on his
Mhm.
waistcoat, and he's wearing a waistcoat. So
To do like yard,
yeah,
to do like farm work, which
right.
I think is a little weird, but
Yeah, yeah. And
And
then of
now
course, but they
the
still get the
news is
paper up
following
here.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm saying. This is middle of nowhere, Scotland, and they still get a daily paper that has his info in it. Um,
I mean,
Yeah.
you can send the basics of a story over like telegram,
mhm.
like Morse code very quickly, very easily over long distances. So yeah, it's not
So
out of the realm of like perception for me to just accept that in this period of time news was traveling. It's obviously going to travel.
somehow she figures out that this is him by looking at the paper. I guess she like keys up on it or whatever. And then so he's like looking at her and like, "Hey, don't say anything." And then this guy catches on that something's between them, and he's like, "I gotta go. I forgot to close the barn door." So he's gonna go outside, and then he just goes around and looks in the window to see what they're doing. You know, see if he can
And
catch her
then he
going
sees
around.
this kind of tense back and forth, but he can't hear what they're saying. Which,
Right.
okay, that's a little bit of a stretch. With really thin panes, you'd be able to hear something, but
But this guy's
let,
already like
let
kind of iffy with her and kind of
yeah,
jealous, I think.
yeah,
Like she's a city girl. Maybe he suspects like her background isn't maybe as, uptight and clean as she claims it is.
yeah.
So, yeah.
and
I mean,
also he realizes
it's
he's isolating her and like it yeah. Like it's very difficult for like speaking as a woman, it's very difficult for women to be that isolated from other humans. Like, and I think like, while yeah, he's probably jealous because it's a man, but like, I think she wouldn't be that much different if it was a woman. Like, it's like, oh my gosh, there's another human to talk to. Like, what?
Here's the
I,
crazy
I
thing
can see
about
that.
that
Even
scene.
if this cup, go ahead, Shieldwall.
I was just going to say that how long her hair is compared to what it looked like when it was up. I had no idea her hair was
Yeah.
that long.
Oh yeah, like that. I remember pictures or not pictures, stories that my grandma would tell me about her mom. So like my great grandma, like I have seen pictures where it was like in a tight bun, and then when it was out, it was like to her waist. So that's a thing.
Y'all talking about
I
hair
was
making me feel
just saying,
self-conscious.
if you have a beard, it's good. You're good.
Hey, I can't grow a beard. You can't grow hair. I think it's a good trade.
That's fair.
No, I was gonna say that this couple, I mean, it would be the same way if they were closer in age. She would still feel isolated and cut off, and it'd still have the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
And I do, and people would call me sexist for saying this, but I do think that women are more social creatures than men, and
Absolutely.
and want that sort of outside connection. Whereas we're totally okay being Obi-Wan Kenobi for 40 years and not talking to anybody.
Like, nah, bro, I would go insane. Like, I'm also an extrovert, so like being a woman, like being super social, and then also being an extrovert, like, nah, bro, I need human interaction, and I would go insane.
Yeah.
I would start talking to trees. Straight up, I would start talking to trees.
There are no trees out here, Mando. There's no trees. Where
My
they
point
are.
exactly. I would start talking to imaginary trees.
My mind is going a lot of different places that would completely derail this conversation for like the next half hour. So I'm just not chasing those rabbit trails.
So this guy thinks they're up to no good. They're sleeping around. And he's like,
Yeah.
no, there's people after me. It's like, please. Oh, okay. How much will you give me?
Again, him being a man of means, just carrying around cash, like, hey, lie to the cops for me.
She's like, I don't trust him. You go out the back way.
And she is
points
correct.
out your coat's too light. They'll see you.
Right. Again, she's smart, wants to help him.
And she immediately believes him.
Yeah.
Not like
and
the
then
other
he
silly
also
girl.
steals a kiss from a married woman.
That didn't bother me because during that time, a kiss on the lips was not. It's not that unheard of.
I think there was tension there, and if this was a modern day, she would have banged him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If this was made 2024, if this is made in 2004.
I mean, I see what you're saying there, Mando. But if it had been on the cheek, it'd just been like, okay, I get it. But the fact that he just went on like full on lips, I was like, oh, okay, there was a little something there you were trying to get.
He could potentially die, gotta, go in there and what a way to thank her. Oh, here it is.
There it is.
This is, they were using a gyrocopter. I was like, say what?
Bruh.
This
is my favorite part.
Yeah, to like find him. And I was like, wow, they pulled out all the stops.
I mean, to be fair, that's a model airplane, model plane.
Well, it is, but what I'm saying is, it's just the idea. Oh yeah, Roman's right. 24, she's gonna be a dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Two, who is this, organization? Do they have the money to send out one of these helicopters, to make sure they really get him? So he didn't.
I thought this was the police
mess their plans up.
That's what I was thinking.
But now that
I know,
Beard
but
is put
you
forward,
were saying that it's this is something brand new. It's high tech. So, I mean, do they have people in the police or in the media? Just interesting.
Yeah,
right.
It does certainly feel like it's more of an investment to use something like this to go after somebody. So it does lend itself to an organization that is much bigger than you think it might be.
And also, like, with that being a relatively new machine, why use that many resources on just one guy? It just seems a little excessive.
Well, it's not him. It's the information.
How this thing worked, right, is that top blade, I do not believe was attached to an engine at all. It took forward momentum, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think this thing could hover. It just took off and landed like that.
I don't think so.
I do kind of have a thought that I'll try to remember to bring back towards the end, that it wasn't about this guy. that this guy just found himself in the middle of something else that he thought he was the center of, but he wasn't. Because we'll get to it. I don't know. That's something that just actually right now just occurred to me. But maybe he's seeing black helicopters that are not coming after him, so to speak, to go to some modern references.
I did not get that impression from this movie at all. That he was like that. I thought all of this was real.
Yeah. No, I'll get to it. I don't know. Maybe it's completely crazy, but it just occurred to me, and it's a rabbit trail that I want to chase. So when we get there, I'll chase it.
Okay.
For the main reason that
I was
this
trying to look up that
this comes up,
gyrocopter, but
and this is the only time you see it. It's the only time it's referenced. I would think that if it was something like what you're talking about, it might come back more often. And this guy falls in the water. Sucks to be him.
yeah, that's cold.
And look at the snow out in the back there. He's running around out here all night. Yeah, Beard, point that out when we get to it. What you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's not till later on.
Yeah, I don't want to jump right to the end of the film.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fine.
Apparently the auto gyro's inclusion in the film was like a last minute decision.
Okay. It works the same as the guy from Mad Max. They call him the gyrocopter pilot or whatever from the Mad Max movies. It works the same way. It can't take off like vertical. It has to like move forward in order to spin. Yeah.
But I think it's still attached, like geared to the motor some way. The back prop is getting most of the power.
It's you can do both, but you can also, if I understand correctly, fly one of those with only forward momentum and propulsion, and the rotors will automatically kind of just move with the wind to generate extra lift.
They do, because the Germans had a scout gyrocopter that they would tow off of their submarines. So they had a little hangar, it would open up, they'd come out, they'd unfold the wings, and it was a one-person thing. It had a little it had the cable that towed it, and it also had a comm cable, so a guy could be on a headset up there, and it would go and it would trail behind the sub, and it would get altitude, and then that guy could look around for ships and other things, and then they'd reel him back in.
Cool.
And it was completely, the auto rotation. It was completely driven by air and forward motion.
Okay.
It's similar to when helicopter pilots have to learn how to do an auto rotation landing if their engine cuts out. As long as they keep enough forward momentum, the blades will spin and keep some lift. So that's how they can actually land something completely unpowered.
Turn the blade to catch the wind more.
Right. Yeah.
So that's cool. That is cool, huh? I didn't know that about the gyrocopter. So he gets to the house that lady told him about.
And she says something like, who should I say is here? And he's like my name doesn't matter. And she's like, okay.
Oh, okay. Come on in.
Yeah, he's gone full spy mode. And this should have been a bigger like flag to me than it was when the cops show up and ask about him, and she says nothing. I mean, that tells me that there is something going on in this house that is not above board, and I did not catch that right away watching this.
Oh, I didn't think that the dude was the bad guy. I just thought, oh, he's definitely the contact that the spy lady was talking about. Like
Right.
we all like, I'm getting the vibe that, oh, he's into some secret things, some secret dealings, secrets. But no, I did not, I think it was like a little bit after this that I started going, wait a second, something's not right.
Yeah. See, it's not so much that the dude walks over and says, "Hey, you're all good. Let's go talk." It's like when he separates him from everybody else. That's when you kind of start thinking, "Oh, hang on a second.
Mm-hmm.
Something ain't right." Or to quote the meme,
Yeah.
"Hold up. Wait a minute."
Take a step back.
Yeah.
It's like, that's weird. That's suspicious.
I mean, and the main guy, what? I remember his name. Hene? Whatever his name's. Him falling into it doesn't seem out of place because this is not a thing that he's a part of. It's something he's decided to step into. He's found himself in the center of. It's not, he's not a spy. So him just kind of walking into what would have probably been seen by anybody else as an obvious trap, it's fine. It works because he's just a dude.
Yeah. He like tells this guy now the leader of these people is missing part of his finger. He's like, this part of the finger?
Dun, dun, dun.
I knew a dude who had half a thumb thanks to a table saw.
Yeah.
You give him this, he'd give
like,
you this.
You mean this finger? It's like the Princess Bride, the 4-fingered man.
The 4.5-fingered man. He can't do this.
I mean, this is a very James Bond moment where it's just like he just throws it out. He goes, "I'm the guy you're talking about. Now let's sit down, have a drink, and I'll tell you why you're wrong."
Mm-hmm. And then I'll try and kill you.
Yeah.
And why I'm gonna have to kill you.
Reveal my entire plan to you and then kill you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. You sly dog. You caught me monologuing. To quote Syndrome from Incredibles.
Yes. I think
I have you now, Mr. Bond.
And yes. I was there was a part of me that's like, oh, he's going to reveal that he's actually the good guy and that she was wrong. And then it's going to be another plot twist where, yes, he's actually the bad guy, because I've seen way too many spy and mystery novels and stuff like that. I'm like, he's the bad guy, but he's going to try and make himself out as the good guy and like all of the things. Nope. He's like, yeah, I'm the bad guy. I'm doing these things and I'm going to kill you.
So I think it's coming up here in just a second, so I may be jumping ahead. My main problem with this movie is when he hands him that gun that is a semi-automatic pocket pistol and says, "What if I left you with this revolver?"
Yes.
Yeah, he does say that, and I caught onto that and was like,
"What?"
Oh, I did too. I cringed.
I think maybe it was written that he was supposed to have a revolver, and they were like, "Well, all we could get was this for the prop."
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's obvious that was what was written, and then something changed. I think they probably switched to a semi-automatic pistol to kind of match the theming from earlier on, when a semi-auto was used to cause the panic. And then later
that
on,
looks
what
like
we see with it.
That's a 22 right there.
Oh yeah.
It could be a 25. I've got a little pocket pistol 25 Beretta.
Yeah.
But that's
Oh, I
probably.
forget about
But
that.
you're right. That's probably a baby Browning in 22, maybe 32 if we're generous, but unlikely.
Roman says 6-year-old lays under that trench coat.
I also think that it was
Yeah,
they probably last minute switched it to a semi-auto because this is like a spy movie, and spy movies have advanced technology, and would it really keep up with the theme of advanced technology if they were using an old school revolver?
Well, obviously his wife was in on and like knows what he's up to, because when she walked in, she wasn't surprised at all. He was holding a gun.
Right?
So
That would have been my other like, what
Yeah.
the heck?
I won't show this for long because I don't want to necessarily get Jacob stream flagged, but I mean, that's a little 25.
yeah.
But that something either 22, 25, 32, and it kind of makes sense. Like you were saying, using a semi-auto versus a revolver kind of does lend itself a little more to kind of the spy genre.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
This scene.
the
For a
hymnal
split
saves
second,
him.
it goes to this guy. Where's my jacket? I gave it to the guy. He's like, I'll show you.
Smacks
And
her
it's like
for being
the hymnal.
kind.
Yeah, this gives me like what was it, FDR vibes? Was he's the guy, the one that got shot and then gave a speech?
Other Roosevelt. That was Teddy Roosevelt.
That was
Teddy
Roosevelt.
Roosevelt.
Yep.
Yeah. Like it went through his
bull
metal
moose.
glasses case into his folded speech. It still did go into his chest, so I'm not discounting that. But
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Set
like
it down there.
there's a reason he created the bull moose party, like, and he was known as a bull
Yeah.
moose. Like he was not someone to sneeze at.
Roman Sean Connery approved. Yeah, because it doesn't show it, but off screen he smacks her.
I think a PPK is 32,
Yes, I remember correctly.
but I don't think that was a PPK. That looked much more like a baby Browning. But yeah, it was definitely smart on this dude's part to take a round to the hymnal in his pocket and just fall down and just like, I'm going to pretend to be dead because if I don't, they're going to shoot me someplace else.
They're gonna make sure I'm dead. Also, he was
Yep.
thrown out of a window. Like I saw no bruises. Like he was shot and then he was tossed out of a window. I would have expected a little bit more bruising, but I don't know.
People were tougher back in
And
the
this
day.
policeman's like, yeah, I believe you. I believe you. It's like, you're under arrest.
Same old cops have been chasing him since England.
Mhm.
The dead don't
Hey.
bruise.
The dead don't bruise. Yeah, and they're like, we shot him, but there's no blood. We got a bloodless guy here.
Hmm.
You know, there are a lot of little things in this film,
Yeah,
including
but
right
the
before he
policeman
jumps out
hands him.
the before he jumps out the
Yeah, go
window.
ahead.
Like he walks up to it, and we can see that it opens. Like there's very little things in this that end up being part of the story that I think are really good. I mean, it's something you could absolutely do without, but it makes it better.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this scene was. I thought this scene was good.
Oh, I
Chasing him and
loved
he,
it.
like, gets on stage and just monologues.
Yeah, they think he's somebody else, and it's like, yes, push him on the stage. Like, are you sure this is the right guy? Did you double check? Yes, not.
I mean, if this is not a picture perfect example of politics where nobody really knows who the dude is that they're voting for, but they know a name. So we see everybody just, excuse me, they don't announce him by name because he doesn't need an announcement. We'll bring him up. And then everybody just kind of goes, and looks at him. He goes, "Oh, crap. That's me."
Does this guy not look like Hugo Weaving?
Oh my God, you're right.
Yep.
This is the part where you really get to see how intelligent he is and fast thinking.
I mean, this is one of the scenes among several that kind of makes you wonder if, or at least made me wonder if he's this kind of like swindler type person in his real life, because this is not on your feet thinking that most people would be able to do. This is on your feet thinking that con men do.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's up there basically like just trying to flounder and keep the crowd engaged, because as long as he's on stage, nobody's going to touch him. What does he call the guy? Like McCrocodile?
Yeah, crocodile.
Because he read his
Like,
name
yes, that was a
upside
fun
down.
nickname we gave him back in the day.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And then somehow she's at this meeting. And then she's like, wait a second, this guy. So she goes and like gets police or something. Or they, yeah, that's another weird thing. Because these are the bad guys. Leather trench coat guy on the right. But she thinks
This
they're
guy
cops.
looks like Gestapo right here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Straight out of Indiana Jones. Let's send Crocodile to the swamp and let him just tear crap up.
Eat everything.
How you doing, Adam?
What's up?
Hey, Adam. And he walks past her. Won't you believe me? Yeah, in the funny, you sound like you're in the funny papers.
This bee.
Something like that.
That look right there. That tells you everything between those two dudes.
You know, we better take her too.
It should have been at this moment that, like, when they grabbed her too, like, in my mind, if I'm this woman and I think that there's a possibility that this guy is a murderer, blah blah blah, and like they want me to travel in a vehicle with him and put myself in danger, something's fishy. Something's not right.
I agree,
Like,
but at the
do you have an
same
ID?
time, I just think that most
Hey,
day-to-day people don't think that far into it. Like, I mean, I totally agree, but I'm also that kind of person that looks at like law enforcement interaction with people and think people are just, what's that thing that like Jay says from Men in Black? A person is smart, people are stupid, panicky animals, and et cetera, et cetera. So I just can't help but think that a lot of people would just be jumping in the back of a car and go, sure, let's go. It shouldn't be, but I don't know. Maybe I'm too black-pilled on that.
I guess for me, like, I'm just
Shieldwall earlier. The transitions to the.
That's it. That's the scene right there. Yep.
Yeah, that is good.
I was surprised at how good that looked.
Yeah, I guess for me, I was raised to question and be suspicious of just about everything. Like, if it doesn't make logical sense, like if you think about it for more than 5 seconds, if it doesn't make sense, something's not right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they continue, and it's like, oh, you passed the police station. Well, we're going to this other house, and there's like, why didn't you
I'd
go
just
that
be
way?
like yeeting myself
bridge
out of
is
the
out.
car at this point.
Like,
I'd be like, fam, I'm out. I'll walk back. Let me out now.
Just go, peace.
Exactly. That's exactly like if at this point, my alarm bells would be like, we're supposed to be going that way. We're going this way. That excuse you gave me does not make any sense. I'm being kidnapped. I'm getting myself, I'm yeeting out of
Mando.
here.
But Mando, you're a Mando. I mean, you're trained to.
It's true.
To see.
That is
Yeah.
true. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I know we glossed over it because we were going off on that, but yeah, those transition shots were fantastic.
Mwah.
And I think that's probably something that's very easily overlooked in this film is the cinematography. I mean, I won't say overall for the film the cinematography is fantastic. Most of the time it's pretty basic, but every now and then it really hits a good shot. The sheep. Okay, what's the
I
line
love
here?
the joke.
What's the line? It's like if he
More
stays,
cops.
if you stay, he stays, and he just turns around and says, "Well, if I go, you go," and yanks her out of the car.
Right, but I love the joke that he makes before this where he's just like, oh, look, more police officers. Like referring to the sheep and stuff.
I missed that.
Yeah, these guys aren't very bright either. It's like
for spies,
right
they
there. But yeah, I like this part too, that they kind of disappear into the fog.
This is one of my favorite where he goes over, she goes under, so he has to go back over so that he can go under.
Yeah.
This is like borderline like Laurel and Hardy like comedy.
Yeah, right.
Or the Three Stooges.
Yes. With just a little bit of a dude putting his hand over the mouth of a lady so she can't keep. So there is a fair amount of ick in this.
The
Yes.
the Barbara Lawrence is saying there's a remake from like in the 50s or something, or
Yes, when I was looking up this movie, there is a remake. Yeah,
50s one.
Okay. Yeah,
There's one that was
50s or
made in the
70s?
50s and another one made in 2008.
oh really? I bet the 2008 one.
I think it was like a
absolute
TV. I don't know.
Oh well, if it's TV, then maybe it's okay.
I think it was a TV.
Hitchcock's
movie,
stuff has been remade enough times that I've actually kind of wondered, Jacob, if it might be worth doing a Hitchcock versus remake like stream for one of your shows.
Yeah. I mean, even within Hitchcock movies, there's a reoccurring theme. I mean, if you've seen Saboteur or even North by Northwest, it's got that same guy falls into something that he wasn't supposed to see, or
I know that didn't they do a remake of Rear Window?
That would be an interesting thing.
Yeah, there was a Christopher Reeves Rear Window, and then technically, if you look at it, the Shia LaBeouf movie, I can't remember the name of it, was
Disturbia,
a Rear Window. Yes, Disturbia. You're right. Was basically a Rear Window remake.
You lost me at Shia LaBeouf on that one.
No, well, I mean, it's actually not terrible. And it's okay.
as much hate as Shia LaBeouf gets, he was a decent. Like, he wasn't the worst actor out there.
Yeah.
He wasn't Brie Larson.
Before one of his springs popped out and he went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. So
Do it.
Some of these shots here, we went down a rabbit trail. Some of these shots here are really good, and I can't tell if some of them are composited or not. And because I can't tell, I think that is a really good thing. Because there's some long shots that look like they might be miniatures or composited over actors that couldn't be at the location. But I want to think that a lot of these shots are on location at Scotland. And Scotland has a lot of really kind of dramatic, especially the Highlands has a lot of dramatic landscape.
I would think this was on a soundstage.
It feels
with
like
a screen
it,
behind them, probably. This especially does this.
Yeah.
I like how he keeps lifting his hand and it throws her walking off.
Well, also, like, he's like bigger than her, so yeah, anytime like he does something, like, she's gonna go yeet.
I mean, it is a small thing to think about whenever you're making a film, but it benefits the characters. It makes it feel real. A lot of what they end up having to do, like, coming up, her taking off her stockings or whatever, or even just reaching up to brush your face. Yeah, like that. It's just.
I like this too. She doesn't believe it, so he plays up the I knifed a woman in the back to shut her up.
Right? He's like, yeah, I could be a serial killer. Maybe I kill a woman a week, because she doesn't want to believe the truth. So he gets real kind of direct and forward with her, almost a little rough.
Mm-hmm.
But so he can control her.
Which at this point in time, I wish he would have just hit her a couple times.
Oh, give her the old Sean Connery.
They would cancel this movie today.
But Roman would give it a 10 out of 10.
Like, I guess for me, like, just the fact that, granted, she might not know actual dangerous people, but if you know, like, someone who is a dangerous person versus this guy, you'll notice there's a difference. Like, he does not, like, exude any sort of dangerousness about him, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's more friendly neighbor than Han Solo.
Yeah.
He's definitely more kind of like Benny Hill caught up in craziness that you don't really know how to deal with, sort of thing.
Like, and like, I'm judging that based just on the scenes that they are together. Like, he's been nothing but cordial, besides where he did kiss her randomly, like, make out with her on the, like, sure, she can hate him for that, but like, everything beyond that, like, I just, yeah.
I love
it's not Connery.
Hey, Jana.
Hey, what's up, Jana? She heard women were getting smacked around, and she was like, I got to join this string.
This old couple too is like, especially the. Oh, go ahead, Beard. Sorry.
No. I was going off down a different trail. Go ahead.
The wife is like, oh, it's a young lovers running off together.
Yup, I loved her so much. I think out of all of the characters, she's like my favorite.
It's like the clever.
We're gonna leave these young lovers alone.
Yeah, the clever hiding of the handcuffs during this whole sequence. Like when they got to sign in, he's holding her hand real close. He goes, "Why don't you practice signing your new name, dear?" It's
Yeah,
a
like I
little
said
thing.
again,
It's
he's
clever.
thinking on
It
his
is
feet. Yeah.
clever.
The whole time she's like wanting to scream, and it's like, I mean, like let's think about it logically. If she truly believes that this man is a murderer, if she truly believes that, why is she trying to like scream when he is literally handcuffed to her? Like if she were to scream, he could easily just yoink. Like I would like she.
Yeah.
I have to think that something about what he's saying is ringing true, kind of how the woman that he initially met up with was saying crazy things and acting weird, but he somehow believed to a certain extent. So I have to think there's kind of that kind of transition here. Otherwise, everything just falls apart.
I like what she says here. He's like, "So are they married?" And she says, "I don't ken and I don't care." And ken is like Scottish for I don't know. I know. Ken is no. In
Ah,
uh, yeah. I don't
I've
know if
got
it's in
Scottish
Gaelic
heritage and I
or
did
what.
not know that.
Gaelic. She's like, "I've had enough. I'm going to tell him."
This whole interaction. Love this old lady. She's just mwah. I love her so much.
She's like, you want
And
this
she brings him a hot water bottle.
Yeah.
My mom actually has some of those, a collection of those. They're crock water bottles. They work
Yeah,
pretty good too.
not the rubbery comfortable kind.
No, the heavy, drop it on your foot, break some bones in your foot kind.
Knock someone out with this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's always pretending like he's got a gun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're honest, he's no hero in this. He's just trying to survive.
Right. Well, I mean, like, put yourself in his shoes. All of a sudden, this random strange lady tells you some government secrets, and now people are after you. Like,
Yeah.
and no one believes you.
He does say to her, "Of all the women I could be handcuffed to, I'm handcuffed to you."
Bring back that farm lady.
This is a great little back and forth with them eating the sandwiches and having to do things with their hands together and such like that.
Yeah.
Seeing her ankles and her knees. Oh my!
And this,
she took her stockings
touched
off.
her knee. Oh no!
I have to think that this scene right here was one of the adult rating.
Yeah,
like,
I agree with
triggers.
you. I agree with that on that, Beard. That was a little much.
I had to take 5 minutes when I saw that. Okay, 30 seconds, but let's not tell everybody.
You just did, Beard.
So, you know why she didn't leave those stockings later on? We'll get to it, but they hung the stockings up to dry. I was like, why didn't she just put her shoes on and just bounce out of there? Because those stockings are worth a lot of money is why.
Yeah.
They weren't nylon back then. They were silk.
Yeah. And they do
Expensive.
provide some warmth too.
Yes.
Not much, but some.
Well, I mean, like they're winter stockings. Like there are different stockings and different coats and stuff for different times of the year. So it makes sense.
Hunters used to wear nylon stockings under their clothes for warmth. So that was before
Yep.
the tight long johns.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm picturing that dude from like, what is it? The
Dylan Mulvaney.
Never mind. The joke is gone because my brain can't think of what I'm trying to reference. I can picture it, but I don't know the name. So we'll just move on.
Yeah, Dylan Mulvaney, right? Bud Light commercial? No.
Yeah, we can go with that, but I was going to go someplace else with it.
I like this part too. It's like telling her, I'll wind up in they have like a wax museum of serial
Madame
killers.
Tussauds. Yeah, Madame Tussauds.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like my
I'll be
great
in Madame
uncle,
Tussauds.
Uncle Rupert. He, I come from a long line of serial killers and mass murderers. And he's like, yeah, eventually they'll catch me and I'll be in that one section that I was in when I was a kid. And he like goes real deep into it and like describes what his great uncle looked like and all this stuff. Yeah, it's crazy.
It makes her laugh. And he's like, what? And she's like, oh, nothing.
Yeah, so she's starting to, his wit is starting to wear on her a little bit. Like she's like, well, maybe this guy's not so bad, and he hasn't really like pulled anything yet, you know. He's got that quintessential 1930s mustache going.
Yeah, little pencil mustache.
Yeah, only certain people can pull that off, though.
Well, and also that's time period specific. Back in the day, okay. These days, you're on a list.
Yeah, I know. You better check the Epstein Island list to see if you're on it.
You see, they all know what's going on. The mom, the daughter, they all know what's going on. And this guy's like, I gotta bounce. I gotta leave the country.
That
Go back
the
to
daughter
the fatherland.
that was just on his left there, she looks very 1930s. Like you just look at her and it screams 1930s. Mm-hmm. No other time period fits.
So he's managed to get through the cuffs, I think. It's like,
no, he didn't quite.
They had like what a nail file.
Yeah,
he made a comment like in 100 years we'll get through it. But at the same time, the entire time they're talking, you can see him just like his body's moving back and forth because he's actually working at it.
Yeah.
But then she falls asleep and then he falls asleep. So what she winds up doing is forcing her hand out of the cuffs.
Wouldn't she just do that to begin with?
When would she have had time?
Yeah, he was awake.
I think at some point he said something about like if you're attached to that skin, making it seem like she would like drastically harm herself by pulling her hand out. And there was a throwaway line in there that I think kind of related to just pulling through the handcuffs.
Well, also, like, no, I imagine,
that's
like,
really racy. He put his hand over her legs.
Like, I can imagine, like, throughout the day, your body, like, depending on how much water content you have, like, swells and then shrinks. Because, like, I know, like, there have been times where I've wore rings, like, early in the day and I couldn't get it off. But by the end of the day, when I drank some water, I was able to get it off. So,
yeah. My the watch I typically wear, I have that issue too, where if I'm outside work and everything kind of swells up and it gets tight.
So she goes down here to the edge of the bed. Well, she was going to put everything on, but I don't understand why she took her outer garment off. If she's expecting to leave, it's going to be, she's got no jacket now. It didn't make sense.
I don't think she was thinking about leaving. I think she was going to go to the front desk and call.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
good point.
But she gets down there, and here are these two guys, and this is where she's like, okay, they were cops, but maybe they're not cops, and this is where she overhears their conversation on the phone, which is
Yeah,
also
this
weird
is
because the bartender dude is right there, and they're openly going like, "Oh yeah, you know, we tracked them here and this and that," and like he'd be able to tell they weren't cops.
typical CIA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
but yeah,
also that I
this is
imagine that they don't think that this rinky dink clerk is smart enough to understand what they're talking about.
yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
the registration book is right there, but
Easily could have forged like
no, but what I mean is you can see
alias.
like the last people that went in there was a man and a woman, and that's who they're looking for. And then also the wife of the owner of this place is pretty smart too, because she figures out how to get him out of here by basically saying, "Hey, you can't serve alcohol after closing time; it's against the law." Here she comes. So, but she overhears that he's like getting ready to spill the beans. Oh, they were like, because if you had any new people coming in, he's like, oh yeah, we have. He's like, is this a hotel? He's like, yeah. Have you had new people come in? Yeah, we have. It was a man and a woman, and right before he answers, she comes running down and be like, wait, how much did you charge him for this? And then she shuffles him out of there before he can
Get the
give it.
heck out of
Yeah,
my
this
bar.
is this is straight up the like Motel 6 down the road where people go and nobody asks questions. It's not even Motel 6. It's a Econo Lodge.
I wonder if they have enough shower curtain rings. Need to get the salesman in there. If you don't
See,
understand that reference, I feel sorry for you.
she doesn't even like, she's not even like aware of what might have happened. She's just telling him, just people are here. It's their business. Don't inform other people. Let's make money. It's just, you know what? I can get behind
Yeah.
that. Whatever.
That's right.
But yeah, this is where she starts kind of getting wrapped into
She's
the
starting to believe him now.
spy
Right.
story that he got himself kind of accidentally wrapped up into.
So now she's trying to sleep and she's cold, and I'm like, well, what about the jacket you just took off? And then I was like,
Or the fireplace.
Or well, not only that, well, she's got to have a place to sleep, but this thing that's over the top of it, just take that thing and put it on your feet. Nah, she's got to be a total woman and steal his blanket.
Steals the cover.
Yeah.
I would agree with you, except for in my marriage, it's the opposite. I have to have my own separate blanket because my husband takes my blanket.
Oh, the other thing is that I don't know if we covered it, but the whole time he had this pipe in his pocket. She thought it was a gun for the longest time. So that's how he was controlling her otherwise.
Look, I've got one of these shamog things, and I can tell you, as thin as this is, this will warm you up. So she did not need to go steal his blanket. She's just being a little, well, it's Jacob's channel. I won't
just
say
put
the word.
Just put something around your neck, man. That warms you up.
But she had that thing laying over the back of that couch chair thing she was sleeping
exactly
on. Just throw it over your feet, you'll be fine. Because it seemed like her feet was the thing that was making her cold.
Well, also, like, another thing to remember, her skirt was still slightly damp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what she was doing. She should have gone full Roman and just took it off.
Or stood in front of the fireplace long enough for her skirt to completely dry. Right.
But the thing is so once he wakes up, she's totally, her like entire demeanor has changed. She's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't believe you, and this and that, and she's like, so yeah.
I mean, she was kind of coming around to him, but there was like that doubt that this guy might possibly still be a killer. And then she hears that, and it's like there's no shadow of a doubt, that he's not a killer.
I mean, he's only pretended to have a gun the entire time we were handcuffed together.
Yeah. So she tells him everything that she overheard, that they're going to meet at some another theater place.
At the Palladium in London, which is actually a pretty famous theater.
Yeah. Yep. New Scotland Yard. I still don't understand why they call it Scotland Yard. They're in England. Why is it
It's
Scotland
just the
Yard?
name of the place where it was at when they built it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny that even these police don't believe her.
Well,
And they're
because
like,
they contacted the ministry and was like, "Is any papers missing or anything?" They're like, "Nope, no, nothing's missing. We don't have any signs of a plot or whatever." So they're like, "Well, guess not, lady."
Well,
Eh.
and we're never
it was like,
really
follow her.
told the scope of this spy agency. So they could have their fingers in every single pie across the entire country. They could be the ones that making everything disappear. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, this whole end part, you figure out the guy that can memorize everything is like, wait, he's memorized the papers they stole and then they put him back. Sorry, that's jumping a little ahead, but
Well, I mean, that's the next big plot point, which brings me back to something I mentioned a little while ago is, was everybody really after this guy for the spy stuff, or was it just cops because the spy stuff killed the woman in his home or his apartment or whatever, but the spy stuff was not going after him, but rather the guy who knows everything.
right.
So he's being
But
chased by cops
they were just
because
covering loose ends. They were
right.
just going after loose ends, tying up loose ends to make sure
So I'm
nobody
thinking
knew
like,
how they did it.
right, I'm thinking the spy stuff showed up, killed the woman because they thought, because she knew something, they didn't think he knew something. He suddenly thinks that he's in the middle of this kind of conspiracy and is being chased, but he's only being chased because a dead woman was in his home. So I kind of
Yeah.
wonder if it's not this big thing that's coming after him because conspiracies and spies and such like that, but he just found himself in the middle of it when the entire goal of this spy agency was to off the dude who knew everything.
Well, no,
Well,
they weren't. Not at first.
Go ahead.
I don't think.
Yeah, because like
This was kind of
the Pinky Man, I'm just gonna call him Pinky Man, was there like watching, like he could have popped him off at any point in time the moment he stepped on stage, but
Mhm.
he was like, hey, Signal, you're gonna be traveling with me, and he's like, oh, okay, you know, after the show I'm going to travel with you. So like I don't know if like they planned on popping him off like the whole time.
Okay. I don't know. Like I mentioned earlier, that was something that just occurred to me while we're doing this stream. It is definitely not a finalized thought. I would definitely have to go through and rewatch everything kind of with that in mind. Which I guess would also go back to, why didn't they just off him in the first thing if they had a gun that they fired into the air? But yeah, whatever.
Yeah, like that, and that's where like I'm not saying that your theory is completely wrong or has no merit, but there are just a couple of little plot holes like that I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the entire crux of the movie, he shouldn't have lived. So
yeah, I don't know. There are just certain points where it feels like it's like paranoia story where the black helicopters are coming after me, but maybe not. Maybe they just happen to be there. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's such a good part. He like tells him what papers. Somehow he knows what papers they were, and he asks him about the papers, and he just starts reciting the papers. It's like he can't help himself.
Well, he asked him what the information was that he was sneaking out, because he knows that he deduced that this is the guy who has the information in his head. The only thing is the way he describes it. He's talking about specifications that you would actually need drawings for to do anything with, unless he was talking like chemical formulas or something. But the way he was describing it was like, it's a cylinder that's 30 centimeters. It's like, nah, dude, you got to have pictures to go with it to make anything useful out of it. Now, he might have seen the papers and was able to draw them himself, and he was only explaining it because he had gotten shot. But basically, it was for a new kind of engine that was supposed to be totally silent or something, which I don't know if that, a cut down noise.
So is this a Hunt for Red October prequel?
No. It's for an aircraft. So.
Oh, okay, that type of
aircraft.
That's
engine.
right.
Pew pew.
Yeah, so I love this. Dude gets shot. He's escorted off the stage, and they bring the dancers out.
Yeah, they're like, bring out the dancers quick.
Bring in the dancing.
Yeah, and I was like,
look at those thighs. Who cares about that dude?
Yeah, that's what I would have been thinking.
They finally all believe him.
And I have to believe this is intentional. He's also back in his brighter than everybody else jacket.
Yeah, he is.
Making him stand out.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's how you know he's the good guy.
He's also the good guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Love how he, like, this poor man was forced to memorize like government secrets and stuff, and then at the end he's just like, that was so difficult to keep in. Die.
He's still got the handcuffs on.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, when would you've had time to take them off, though?
There is potential, and I'm not somebody who likes remakes or the remake reboot culture that we have right now. Let me put it that way. But there is potential for this film to be done well again.
Yeah.
And I feel like it steps into a little bit of, or would step into a little bit of kind of a trope that some people don't want to wade into. But my dad being a special education teacher, dealing mostly with autism and other can be included in regular classes, but need a little bit extra work. Some of the stories that he's told, and let me put out there, no names, he abides by the rules, about kids that just memorize license plates and the minutia of the day. You could do this story with somebody that has that kind of mentality, that just naturally memorizes things. It's not a burden. It's not something that they can help. It just happens. I could kind of see that working.
What's that Wesley Snipes movie? Or not Wesley Snipes one. Darn it. What's his name? The Die Hard dude. Bruce Willis.
Bruce Willis.
It's a Bruce Willis movie, and this kid with autism figures out some code and like types it into
I hated that movie. God, that kid was terrible. Yeah, that movie was
but you could take that kind of trait and do it right. And I think that this film, it would fit. and it wouldn't be unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because there are people to this day who like are able to do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
I just
that
think that
movie.
they'd probably inject a lot of current political themes in it,
Yeah. Yeah.
which would ruin the whole movie.
I mean, just in general, I don't want to see anything that I enjoy from the past being remade right now because I don't trust anybody making it to do it
No,
right.
it wouldn't be done right. No,
But there is
would,
potential here. Eventually,
race
once
and gender
everything
swap.
levels out, there is potential for this to be done again and done well.
Yeah, like I've never been like completely against remakes or sequels or prequels. I'm just against people doing it and not actually putting as much effort as they did in the original. Like if you're going to make a
Yeah.
sequel,
Right.
put as much effort, stick with the lore, like be respectful of what came out and why it's popular. But if you're just doing it for a quick money grab, like no, give that project to somebody else who cares and who's going to do it right. Like,
Right. Sorry, I didn't mean
In
to
my
take us
opinion.
down a totally another tangent
no.
there, but
That's okay.
that kind of sparked in my head. It's like there's potential there for this.
I mean, there's a potential for like a modern day version of that happening for sure. Yeah, like, and it doesn't have to be the exact same storyline. It could just be, two random people like this and it's,
I mean,
yes,
and
Roman.
to throw back to what is not a great movie, but also not a terrible movie, the Disturbia thing. Like I said earlier, it's basically Rear Window, but adapted. And
Well, also like the
I
John
don't
Wick
think
movies.
I don't think it's bad. Oh yeah,
like all of the John Wick movies are good. They don't break the previous lore. They add on to it. Like they're respectful of what's already happened. Like they don't like do stupid stuff that makes no sense. Like if you from the third movie to the first movie, like it's still good.
yeah.
So this is the what year? 59 version. I don't recognize
Okay.
anybody in it.
He's a diplomat. He wasn't a diplomat in this one, right? He was just a
No, it's
There
Just a
was a
random
distinct
guy.
It's
lack,
like they
lack
just
of
did a
pencil
different
mustache right there.
change on it.
That lip needs some fur.
Yes, there's no.
that guy kind of looks like
It's just
Mickey
not right.
Rooney. Just like a resemblance a little bit.
So yeah, that's the 59 one, and then this is the where is it? This is the 2008 one. What?
Who's in this one? Stars Rupert, Penny Jones, Lydia Leonard, and David Haig. I don't know who any of those people are.
Yeah, this is a British TV movie.
Oh,
so they're a bunch of British actors.
I don't know. Maybe if you did a TV movie, is it like multiple episodes or it's just a movie?
No, it's a TV movie, and it's set in the 30s.
Okay. Hey, have a good one, Roman.
Take care, buddy.
Or whatever.
Yeah, later, Roman. So yeah, and I thought I saw that there was a 2011 version.
Really? Oh, 2008.
Could be wrong.
Let's see here. Richard Hannay, a mining engineer on holiday from the African colonies, finds London social life with life incredibly dull. It has more than his bargain for when his secret agent Scudder bursts into his room and entrusts him with a coded notebook with It seems like they took some liberties with this one.
Oh yeah, like, and I think that's fine if you're doing a remake. Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
this
it's
can't.
like all of it's adapted from a book. I have not read the book, but now I kind of want to buy the book series or the book itself. But like if you're trying to update this for like a little bit more of a modern audience, I get that there are some creative liberties that are taken. I don't hate all of them.
Yeah.
I still like as much as you go ahead.
Well, let's be clear. Updating for a modern audience as in actually updating for a modern audience, not updating for a huge air quotes modern audience.
Right. Like instead of using Ford car like Model T cars, use regular cars. Like that kind of update like for modern audiences. Like I think that's fine. Perfectly reasonable.
A story doesn't like this though doesn't work in the modern era with cell phones and satellite tracking.
See, that is
like
that is one of the things you have to get around, and that's something that actually Roman, who is got me not here in the chat anymore. I should have said this previously. The outer what was that show that he recommended to us? Like Western alien weird sort of thing.
God, what was it called? I know what you're talking about though.
Yeah. That's one of the
it's kind of new.
Yeah, it's got Josh Brolin as the lead. But anyway, that's something that they address in that show, that they're so removed, like physically removed
Outer
from
range.
the town. Okay, outer range.
Yeah.
They're so removed from the town that they don't have cell phone signal. And you can make that work in certain situations where you just don't have cell phone signal in very remote areas. But yes, when you're dealing kind of with typical city centers or even just like suburban areas, it's hard to make certain films work in the modern era without coming up with convoluted, stupid ways to make cell phones not be a part of the story.
Or like that maybe the cell phone was hacked and it's like it doesn't work because of that. Like there are ways to work around it, and like I don't fault writers and directors and movie people for having to make some changes to the storyline based on things like that. It's when they blatantly are like, we're going to fundamentally change this movie, and I don't care that we're not sticking to the lore and we're just using the same name and we're calling the people the same names, but it's nothing like that. Like that's when I have a problem with it. Now, if you have to update it to where like, yes, you have to think about cell phones or modern cars or modern technology and you have to go some weird roundabout way, I get that. That's fine. Perfectly reasonable. I'll still critique it, like if you did it wrong, but like it's not on the same level as, hey, that woman is now a man and like now they're all gay lovers.
I mean, look at this shot from it.
GIF.
I mean, that's taken from North by Northwest. I mean, it's like they took some stuff from other Hitchcock movies.
Oh yeah,
that is an interesting choice. I mean, maybe not necessarily a bad one, but it is
the 2008 one. It said World War I, so that's set in the early, in the 19.
Yeah, so even before,
way before, that's like 20 years before the or so before the Hitchcock one. So they've already changed it. Plus, he's a South African mining dude or something that went to London. And, so the stories look quite a bit different.
And like it's a spy organization. I'm sure there are probably many iterations, so it's not outside the realm of possibilities that like maybe it's the same organization, maybe it's not, maybe it's the same name, maybe like I'm not that at that point in my opinion you're kind of like go ahead.
So the original book came out in 1915. So it's from set in that time period of World War
I. So that's why the 2008 one went with the book, basically. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Makes a lot of sense.
which is fine.
I mean, when it comes to
Yeah.
spy stuff, the kind of like easy to integrate hubs from history is World War One, World War Two, and Cold War. So those are the easy ones to work with, and I don't think that necessarily adapting something to one or the other of those time periods is bad.
Yeah, I could see that the old, if they set the old one in World War One time period, it would be harder to make it look like the 1950 or 19 teens, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean,
and
overall,
too,
it's a story that I think actually would work with Cold War kind of mentality.
Oh,
Work-
I think that would
Yeah.
be really
Just
good.
move everything
that's what
from like England to Eastern Europe, and you could do the entire storyline, and it would be really good.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's what they did here. I mean, it was the Nazis had come to power and stuff was kind of getting unsure. So yeah, so they kind of did that here.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Mhm. Yeah, you're right. 1933. So they were ramping up like what all was going on. Like if anybody with a brain could see that war was coming by this point, but it was
yeah,
still a few years away.
Mm-hmm.
and plus the revolution in Germany had taken place. When did that take place? I don't remember when that.
Looking up.
You talking about when like Germany actually started to form as opposed to being like Austro-Hungary?
No, the Russian
Oh, okay.
Revolution or Communist Revolution.
Oh, Communist Revolution.
Because I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
yeah,
Communist
Yeah.
Revolution was
that
1917.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay. So yeah,
it took them
that
out
would
of
have
World
been
War
Okay.
One. Yeah,
if anyone with a brain could look at those two countries and see, yeah, something's brewing, war's brewing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Like the Hobbit
Mhm.
says, war's brewing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yep.
I'm
When
glad
you
y'all
start
enjoyed this.
looking at
This was
history,
the
you
first watch for all of y'all, wasn't it?
Oh,
yes.
yeah, absolutely. Which is unsurprising to anybody who knows me.
Hey, you're getting more educated.
Yeah, I
Later,
am.
Barbara.
Take care, Barbara.
Thanks for being here with us.
And
Yeah,
yes,
have a good
Jacob absolutely has a good taste in movies.
Don't forget to share out the stream, and he does this every Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tell your friends.
Do it.
I'm trying to get to the 500.
Tell your friends and
Mark.
also the people that you hate.
I'll
Never
tell you,
tell everybody.
in all of the spheres of all the different
Tell
channels
your
that I watch,
frenemies,
like gaming channels and pop culture and stuff like that, from big to little, this is really the only one that's covering these kinds of older movies. So I think you got
Yeah.
that kind of niche kind of locked in
Mhm.
there.
Yeah, and like you're doing what a lot of people keep talking about, like, oh, I don't need to worry about the new stuff because we have so much old stuff. Then do the old stuff. What are you doing talking about this new stuff? Go talk about the old stuff.
They say cover the old stuff, and Jacob says, hold my beer
Yeah.
and also my second beer.
Yeah.
Because
Mhm.
we're going back to 1920.
Yo,
Yeah. Did anyone say silent movie? Okay, let's do this.
Yeah.
bro, there are some really good silent movies that people don't know about.
Yeah,
I
there
can't remember the names off the top of my head, but like I've seen silent movies, and like I'm just like,
Yeah, you
like
gotta-
that would
There's-
stand up to you today.
Mhm.
There is some good old stuff. And I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. I want to be on record multiple times where people can see. Jacob, if you do Marx Brothers, I have to be there. I love the frickin' Marx Brothers.
You got it. You'll be there. That should be a T-shirt. Did someone say silent movies? Hold my beer.
Yes. Hey, Jacob, make a merch store.
I
You
need
know,
to do that.
what would make it absolutely great is because it's all text. It would be like it's a silent, like put it in the little like flamboyant like
Yeah, the little
design,
box.
like text cards.
Yes.
Yes. That would be cool. So I'm really glad y'all enjoyed this movie, even though it had a couple things in it that were kind of weird, but it was
Yeah.
good. Still a good movie.
Better than what we get out
I mean,
nowadays.
yeah, and that's what I want. I want people to see what good movies are, and not the junk food we're getting now of woke and stupid stuff. But yeah,
Put down the Cheetos and get some
but-
steak, man.
Even with the
Yes.
older films, when you can poke holes in them, I mean, we did that. You point out the plot holes and the weak points, but going into that, it with the mentality of I'm going to try to enjoy this, it's much easier to do that with a lot of older films than some of the newer ones. At least in my opinion.
Yeah.
Oh,
A
yeah,
lot
I
of
think so. Like, go ahead.
I was going to say, a lot of the older films are a lot more straightforward because some of these things people haven't seen before on screen. They might have read them in books, but they haven't seen it like acted out or whatever, or putting into practical reality effects and stuff. So they were, it's the first time it's happening. So they're a lot more, oh, this is very straightforward. But now people, those have already been done to death. So now they want, it's got to have a twist. It's got to have the, you know, what do they call that? Where we have to, change your perception of what's going to happen or whatever. Subvert your expectations is what is the big word that they want to
It
use.
has to have
But nowadays, when you
explosions in
hear
it
that, it just means that it's
and
going to
CGI
suck.
characters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to subvert your expectations. Oh, it's a surprise. Now this guy is, a weakling
Yeah, and they-
instead of powerful, or
And they tell you,
Which
it's a love note to the original.
sure it is. Well, also like here's where we're at.
Excuse
Like,
me while I rub my eye again.
like when they talk about like when there are movies when this movement of subverting expectations came out, and it was okay. Like that because it was a new thing. It was a new phenomenon. Now it's the expected thing. You're no longer subverting our
Yeah.
expectations. We expect the movie to be this way. Now, if you want to subvert our expectations, do it the way it should be, because we don't expect that anymore.
Yep.
Right.
Like you've used the
Like-
term so much it no longer means anything.
Like the trailer for the new Alien movie, it shows that, typical Sigourney Weaver clone, with the
Yeah.
gun. I just subvert our expectation. We think that's going to be what the story is going to be, this tough woman, and immediately she gets taken out. That would be
Hey.
subverting our expectations.
And you
Or
know,
like,
the
if
weird
you're-
thing about that Alien trailer is that's one of the better trailers that has come out recently. That's the one where I kind of look at and go, okay, this has potential. Everything else, I look at it and go, I'm not even wasting my time.
Yeah.
Unless somebody says, hey, do you want to
That
be on a
was-
show where we talk about this?
Right.
And it was like they're similar to the original Alien trailer too.
Mhm.
Not much
Mhm.
to it. Just stuff, you hear stuff in the background. But yeah, it was pretty good.
Well, also like
We'll be
like
watching.
as like
We'll be watching it for that movie.
like the quote unquote female perspective. I don't whatever.
You
Like
don't have to. You don't have to give that disclaimer. It's fine.
I feel like that nowadays. It's like I don't mind seeing a strong female character if it makes sense. Like, I do not expect someone who is like beanpole, tiny, skinny person yeeting people 3 times her size across the room unless she has some sort of superpower. She's had some sort of specific augmentation, some military training, or she's been like experimented on in some way, shape, form, or fashion where her bone density is different.
It's gotta explain it logically, like
Yeah.
Hogwarts Legacy. Why I was okay with any of the characters doing what they were doing is because they were using a wand and magic.
Yes.
So it allowed, it didn't matter if you were male or female or whatever, it didn't matter what your stature was because it was all based on your magical aptitude. Same with thinking, you just have to explain it. There's a
Yeah.
lot of
Like,
things.
don't make her, the strong female woman, be an imbecile and be this egomaniac, narcissistic, boring, one-dimensional character that if you were to make that person a man, you wouldn't like them either because they're just being a butthole the entire time. Why do you have to make a woman
like old school, not the new Black Widow movie, that was garbage, but the stuff that Scarlett Johansson was in when they did like the movies, like where she was captured by the Russians and were interrogating her, and then she gets the phone call and she's like, "Look, I got him right where I want him. What do you want?" But
yeah, that was a perfect demonstration of her ability to control a situation.
Right, and she was using her skill and training, and she's highly trained, that kind of stuff. There would have been, going a long rant here, but
Then
there could have
they
been
had to
ways.
go and run it by giving her backstory.
Well, it's okay with backstory, but the backstory was dumb. Didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And the same thing with, like, let's say Rey, for example. Okay. They maybe could have explained some of her powers by saying she was somehow infused with the Force, which she was, but they didn't actually show it. They just, she's just great. They should have taken a little tip from like Dragon Ball and actually show like power emanating from her.
Training montage.
Well, not only training montage, but if you want to make her, more strong in a way, you do that by showing it, not just, oh well, it's out there somewhere. You know what I mean? Show those abilities, but it's also the being good at everything without having to do anything, or
Yeah.
Yep. Like, if it was a dude, you wouldn't like the movie either. Like, that's the thing. Like you're putting these women or these strong female characters in these positions that if it was a dude, nobody would watch the movie either because the personality sucks.
Right.
No.
They hadn't had to go through.
It's weird. It's weird. They think, feminists think all men are that way, so they make a woman that way. You know what I mean? It's like not all guys are jerks.
No, not all guys are jerks. Not all women who are quote unquote like I don't like the feminist term, like modern like feminist term, like on some like level. Sure, I'm a feminist because I think equal rights and blah blah blah, but like it's this mindset of women can do all things men can do. No, I can't. I cannot bench press a ton. Like there is no way on God's green earth that I can somehow, even if I was roided up, there is no way my bones nor my muscle mass could handle that because I was not built like that. I'm probably going to get canceled later for that.
Mando.
What do you mean later? You're already canceled.
I'm a misogynist, guys.
And the way I'm built, Mando could kick my butt. So
not that she would ever do that.
But, no.
I mean, unless you say something really
represented in Aliens 4. I got represented in Aliens 4. I mean, it's you would never have a character in what was it? World War II with no arm fighting with a machine fighting, but they did it in a video game.
I was about to say, you're going back to Battlefield, aren't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. Or on the opposite end of the spectrum, I guess my camera went out. Okay. My camera just
R.I.P. Mando.
died on me. That's fine. On the other end of the spectrum, I don't like women, like female characters, like the damsel in distress trope, like when the woman is stupid, because I feel like too often, like, that is also a misrepresentation, because yes, there are bimbos out there, absolutely, but like, why do we have to glorify the bimbos? I'm sorry. Like, can we have more rational women, or women who aren't butch, like, buttholes? I don't know.
Yeah.
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 That puts a bad picture in your head.
Yeah. Sorry, didn't mean to take us down this incredibly like long rabbit trail by just mentioning that this could be made again today.
Hey, that's okay.
See, did I fix my camera? Nope, I did not fix my camera.
Nope.
It's all right. Join the ranks of the avatars like me and Jacob.
Yes.
I spent $200 on that camera. I want to use that camera.
Oh, never
it's
mind.
back.
I won't go non-camera.
It's back, Mando.
Yes.
Oh, is that your other camera?
No, my other let me select my other camera.
She's got like production camera and like budget camera.
Yes, this is budget camera. Yes. This is backup
Neo
camera.
in the Matrix was good at everything without having to earn it, because the machine put the information in his head.
Yes.
That explains it. I just need an explanation. I don't need like
it was downloaded.
There's no training montage or anything. It could have been like Rey was possessed by the spirit of every Jedi from the past in her lineage. I would have been cool with that.
Take the movie, this new movie, Damsel, by the way. Like, she's a princess, but she knows everything because she was chopping wood.
In any film, regardless of
because of chopping wood.
Regardless of character or gender or color, I don't care. In any film, you establish rules. Not even films, in story, books, film, TV. You establish rules and then you abide by those rules. If you do if you can't establish them, then there is nothing you can abide by. If you establish them and then betray or violate those rules, then your story falls apart too. You have to do both of those things. Establish your rules and then abide by those rules.
Or if you're going to break the rules, give us an explanation on why the rule is broken for this exception. Like, rule breaking's fine. Make it make sense. Don't just ignore it. Mando season 3, we're looking at you. Like, give us an explanation. A throwaway line. Like, Mando season 3. Oh, yeah, we weren't able to fly with our jetpacks all that way because we didn't have enough fuel on the planet. Okay, I'll take it. Y'all were on the desert planet and resources were probably scarce. That's believable, but not going from, oh, yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and just silly stuff like Lord of the Rings, like Rings of Power. We fit all these horses in 3 ships.
Yeah.
Nonsense. It didn't even try, you know?
That just comes down to basic storytelling. And I'm not a writer, and I understand these kind of things. So
just tell us
going back to
these was a TARDIS, okay?
Yeah.
But you saw that meme, right? Where somebody drew the ship and it was like a little ship at the top of this big bulbous thing at the bottom. It had like decks full of horses and like a super engine so it could get from Numenor to wherever it was going in 3 days, which would have normally taken like a week worth of sailing to do or something. Yeah, it was pretty funny. But and that's the thing is if you have, you know, people that like a franchise, quote unquote geeks, they're going to tear into everything because they're going to know every detail. You know,
Yeah.
like what was Kirk's safe combination on his safe in episode 10 of season 2 when he entered the code into it. They're going to know that kind of stuff. That's just a weird example.
I have
But
this
yeah.
obsessed with Star Wars, which has a little thing here. And my coworkers, when I bought this, would bring this up to me and ask me random questions, and I never got one wrong.
Mhm.
This is the kind of stuff that you want to go to people and say, "Hey, does this work?" We'll tell you.
Yeah, there used to I remember I think Dragon Magazine used to have it back in the day. It was like D&D rules quizzes and and you could take and see like if how much you knew about stuff. Like what's the armor class of a bugbear? Stuff like that.
I think Bugbear's like what 500 at least.
But it those but what I'm saying is, so if you're on a show, you can't get show writers to come in and say, hey,
Later,
don't
Melvin.
worry about looking at the canon, don't worry about reading the source material, we just want you to do the story. This is how you wind up with incongruities in the canon one episode to the next because you had different writers as contradicting each other, and it's just like, oh, we don't have enough fuel to fly after the turkey dragon that stole the kid, yet in a couple of episodes later we're going to go to orbit with our jetpacks,
Yeah.
and it doesn't make any sense. So
Yeah, and we're the galaxy's most feared combat specialists, and we don't have lookouts.
yeah, it was just, I mean, see, the other thing is that episode might have actually, the original script might have been way better, but when you make a 35-minute episode and something that should legitimately be an hour long, you crunch all that in and you wind up cutting important things out, which is also
Yes.
why I think a lot of these, like, what show does anything that more than 10 episodes now? None. Used to be like a season of like Deep Space Nine was like 22, 23 episodes, and they
Yeah.
were shooting that concurrently, and they didn't have it in the can already. They might have
Right.
like the first few episodes, but they were working. Like if they,
But
something happened,
but
they
they
could,
had
yeah.
they had their rule book though with them too though
Mhm.
as they were writing
Mhm.
those shows so they could stick to the rules of the
And
universe.
that's the thing. A lot of the stuff that they did in like Deep Space Nine, they made up as they went, but it was you know what I mean? Because they were writing the story as it went. But they always
Right.
respected what came before. So, like, if they set up a rule that when you went through the wormhole, this happened, they kept with that. And if they deviated from it, they explained it. You know,
Mhm.
like, oh, the wormhole
Right.
aliens are doing something different or whatever. It wasn't just we can do this now all of a sudden because it suits the one episode that I just wrote because I thought it'd be cool. You know.
Right. Right. Well, that was actually a pretty good rabbit hole we just went through. That's good.
Yeah.
But we're almost at 3 hours, so I had a good
I
time.
did
I'm glad
not
y'all
notice
could
that we were
be on
going
this
that
show.
long.
Yeah, but
I
sometimes you
don't
just
hate
gotta
it.
let it go.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for being on. I'm glad y'all enjoyed this show. Uh what do y'all got coming up? Beard, let's start with you, Beard. What do you got coming?
I think the only thing that I've got confirmed coming up is Thursday, which I think pretty much everybody here will be on for Roman of the Empire's almost famous movie review. Looking forward to that. Another first watch from me. Again, certainly not a surprise to anybody who knows me. And then every Monday at 8:30 p.m. Uh, will be I'll be on after the weekend. Got to represent. I think what we have coming up next is the TV movie for Miami Vice. We'll be covering that. That'll be fun.
I don't think I've seen that one.
I watched maybe a couple episodes in Miami Vice in the 80s, but
Yeah.
I had a lot of other stuff going on.
It's like the first or second episode is basically one story kind of movie sort of thing. So we'll be covering that similar to what we do with.
Oh, you're talking about you're watching the
movies.
pilot for it then?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I've seen up to season 5, I think.
Of Miami Vice?
So, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I got into a kick of watching it. Man, there are some people in that series. Bruce Willis is in it in an episode.
Really?
Just random people that
I
became
didn't know
famous
that.
later on.
Yeah. Well, that's back when you've really had a lot, because there was so much network TV being produced back then. There were like show after show, and they weren't just like 6 seasons that were 30 minutes long or whatever like they are now, or 6 episodes. It was full. They were, full on 20, 23 episodes in production all the time. Like, this wasn't like they did it and then put it out like they do with D plus. They were producing them as they went. So they had 2 or 3 already done. Then before the season started, and then because they gave them a little bit of padding, but if something happened and they got behind, they had to crunch it to get through the week, and they were producing an episode a week.
All I know is that supposedly JT and R2 are showing up in costume, and I'm supposed to show up looking like a 1980s Miami drug dealer. I don't know what that looks like, but I'll make something up.
Just take your hat off, maybe, or it depends what kind of drug dealer.
Yeah, put it.
I mean,
we'll find out.
Just an alligator and put it next to
put
you.
Put a plaid jacket on.
Yeah.
Put a plaid jacket on.
I got a cigar right here, so
yeah, there you go. Yep.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, just some maybe sunglasses or something.
Yeah,
it'll be fun.
Put on a Cuban accent.
Oh, that'll get me canceled.
But those because they were making so many shows like that, there were so many opportunities to guest star. And they needed guest stars, right? They needed people. So you saw a lot of people acting, and they were getting their first roles back then. And they were on maybe they might guest star on a lot of different shows, and that's how they would get like picked up or whatever for whatever was going on later. I don't know how they pick them out now. Oh, I do know, but it doesn't have anything to do with their acting ability.
Yeah. Well,
so
if anything else comes up, people can follow me on X, Twix, Twitter, whatever the heck you want to call it, at Beard of Liberty, and updates will go up there.
All right.
Shieldwall, what do you got?
I'm going to be on Rome of the Empire's show on Thursday with the Almost Famous. I have never seen that movie. At least I don't remember seeing it. There's a lot of movies that I have not seen that some people might be surprised. Like, I'd never seen Fight Club before until I watched it for that. So anyway, I'm going to be on that. And then, on Wednesday, I'm going to be on Zax's channel. We're going to be talking about episode 6 or 5, maybe 5 or 6 of Shogun, which is an excellent show. I highly recommend it. If you can watch it, I recommend watching it. It's probably the best thing on TV right now. I think it's very well done. The story is pretty accurate to the book, and it does parallel the 1980 miniseries. It's a little different in some areas. So I'll be talking about that. And then, I mean, I am on X or Twitter or whatever, but I don't really, I never post. I guess like repost other people's stuff, retweet. And stuff.
Like every 6 weeks, I'll get a like from Shieldwall.
Yeah, I'm not on there very much. I don't really understand how it works anyway. But anyway, I am there. So if you, I don't know, want to tell me I suck or something, that's fine. Anyway, but thanks for having me on, Jacob. Appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. Mando.
Yeah, I am Untamed Mando. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Kick, Twitch, all of the things. I will actually be streaming tomorrow on Twitter, or not Twitter, on Twitch and Kick, playing some Possessions. It's a game. It's by an indie developer, really cool company. It's kind of like Among Us, but a little bit different. So yeah, I'll be doing that tomorrow around, I think, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And then, of course, Roman's channel. And then I think this Saturday I've got my D&D stream with Nadia and all of the Inside All Day peoples.
Yeah, I've seen some of the Possession gameplay. Looks fun. It's a good time.
Yep. And yeah, I actually won't be on Roman's show because I waited too long to answer back, and my spot got filled. So
oh no,
I won't be on.
I somehow think you'll still be like sending in at least one meme, maybe two.
Yes.
Well, that's the thing. Being in the chat gives you a lot more chances to like mess around with memes and stuff.
Copa showing up right before we say goodbye.
Hey, what's up, Copa? How's it going?
Better late than never, Copa.
Yeah, go watch
True.
Shogun.
That's true.
It's a great show. After you watch this replay.
Yeah, it's a good show. Yeah, and I will have a chill stream Saturday evening at 4 p.m. or afternoon at 4 p.m. And next
Fridays
week
and Saturdays
is
are so
X-Files.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Which episode?
Let me look real quick.
Yeah. Get back on the X-Files. I didn't say I hated you.
It is episode episodes 7 and 8. And I can't think of offhand what they are.
That's fine. I just wanted to make sure we weren't skipping around or anything.
No.
Is that the one with the fat pizza delivery kid?
Let's see. 7 is
later on.
Okay.
Ghost
I just remember that one
the
really
machine
sticks in my head.
Yeah. That's a good one.
8 is Ice. So Ghost in the Machine and Ice.
Those are both good.
If
they're both good.
People want details, they're going to have to tune in.
Yep. You bet, and tune in. You better tune in, or you'll be square.
That's right.
Well, thanks to everybody in the chat, and thank you if you're rewatching this. Y'all have a good week, and we'll see y'all next time. And I will hit the outro, and we're gone. Later, y'all.